Welcome, everyone. And I've got to say, this is something I have wanted to do for a very long time, which is do a podcast about the NFL. So every week from the start of week one until the Super Bowl, myself, my co host Bob, and Sturmboch from Good Morning Korriban will be joining us every week on Tuesday to go over all the NFL news, all the action, predictions, hot takes, everything. That's why we're here. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I am so fucking stoked to do this. Bob Sternbach, thank you so much for going down this different journey outside of Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. So, as we start this, let's go around the panel, introduce ourselves. Who is our team? What is it about that team that we like, and how long have we been watching football? Sturm, let's start with you, brother.
Oh, hey Logan, how's it going, buddy? I thank you for inviting me to this wonderful podcast.
Absolutely,
I'm excited too.
I've been.
I'm stoked too. I've actually had this idea myself. Thought it would be a great idea to do a football podcast, but I never had the people to do it with. So now that when you mentioned it, I was like, I got to get involved in that because I really, besides Star Wars, I live and breathe football.
Yep.
I've been watching the NFL since 1987. My first year, when I was 11 years old, was the strike year. The year Redskins and Doug Williams won the Super Bowl. Timmy Smith beat John Elway. That Super Bowl, that was my first full year watching TV or watching NFL.
That's way back.
Yeah, and I've watched it religiously ever since. My team is the Las Vegas Raiders, and I have a feeling this is our year, man. It's been a while. I mean, we've got in a bit of a drought, but I think this is it. Vegas is hosting the Super Bowl this year. We got Jimmy G, got Josh Jacobs, Devontae. Defense is getting better. I'm feeling good.
You know where Patrick Mahomes' second home is, right?
Oh my God! Here we go. Meanwhile, we just had a Chiefs fan interrupt us. By the way, folks, for the remainder of the season, please forgive Bob, who is now having his moment in the sun of possible dynasty glory. We'll see what happens at the end of this year before I put the dynasty tag on this team. But he is a Chiefs fan, so Bob. Well, hold on. Fuck you. You're a Chiefs fan. Sturm, what is it about the Raiders that you love? And yeah, what is it about that team that speaks to you? Why are you a Raiders fan?
I'm not from the West Coast. I actually, in the Good Morning Korriban podcast, I always like to say I'm from parts unknown, but I'm from the upper Midwest. And where I grew up, it was Packers country. And Bob, before the show started, mentioned how much he hates Steelers fans. I hate Packers fans with an equal fervor because they're obnoxious.
Did you see that guy that came out and said that he hates Packers fans or Packers? It was some guy.
Yeah, I can't. Packers fans are the worst, and we need to talk about the J-Lo situation coming up this season. But no, I've always liked the Raiders because they're kind of the vagabonds, the bad boys of the NFL. They have the Star Wars connection. So I mean, you got that too with the black hole. Now their stadium is the Death Star. So that's a team that's just they speak to my soul. You know what I mean?
All right.
I mean, that's unfortunate that Star Wars has to be tied to that team, but I'll let it go. I love you, Sturm. I'm going to be giving you shit all the time.
You know what, Bob? All right, now it's your turn. Go ahead, Chiefs fan. Let everybody know who you are and that you're the team to beat this year.
What's up, everybody? Like the others said, I've also wanted to do an NFL podcast for a long time. I've reached out to a lot of people, but it just wasn't something anyone was interested in. And the stars aligned for this one, so I'm really excited about this, fellas. But yeah, so I'm a Chiefs fan, obviously. I'm Bones88, a.k.a. Bob. I grew up in Kansas. Kansas City was about 3 hours from me. I lived on my grandma's farm most of the time. It was about 80 acres. I'm not a manly person. I'm not a farmer or anything, but, growing up, it was always Chiefs. My family, Chiefs. It was like a religion, right? Football and Chiefs. It's like God, God and Chiefs, pretty much, in that area. So I just grew up a Chiefs fan. When I started getting into it, though, I started playing in 7th grade. I started playing football. I started playing Madden around that time, and so Madden and just all at that same time, I was getting into football. And I think at that time, Randy Moss and Chris Carter still played with Dante Culpepper, because I remember that was my favorite team starting out because they were so good in Madden. But then I slowly became a Chiefs fan because of my family. But that's about it. That's about how I got into it. And yeah, I am a Chiefs fan. We've been through a lot of hardships, so I'm going to be pushing this in your guys' face as long as this goes. So just be ready, guys, because you can't say anything until we're taken down. So I have bragging rights.
You know what? That's all right. Throughout history in the NFL, every team has its day. And I have something to say about what the Chiefs have done when we get into their game.
But I do want to say that I will give good takes, but sometimes I'm gonna give some hot ones. All right, so just be.
Well, you're also
biased.
You're also. I expect you throughout the rest of the year to be incredibly biased for every time we talk about your game.
I'm the Nick Wright of the show. All right, and guess what? He's always right. Nick Wright is always right. And he's a Chiefs
Nick Wright is not always right. All right. I am OldManLogan. As you know, I'm the host of the Three Scoundrels in the Cantina. And if you could not tell from my background, I am a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I bleed the black and gold. I started watching the Steelers around 89, 90. Believe it or not, Chuck Noll was still the coach. And who replaced Chuck Noll was Bill Cowher. And who replaced Bill Cowher? The great, underrated Mike Tomlin, who is highly respected throughout the league.
He's never had a losing season, has he?
No, never in 17 seasons. Has not had a losing season. Hasn't won a fucking playoff game since 2017. But motherfucker doesn't lose.
No, I don't have anything against him. I think he's a good coach.
He's got a winning season. I do remember when I was a teenager, like 13, 14. I really don't remember where I was, but I remember like the actual first football game I watched, and it was around a bunch of Steeler fans, and it was, black and gold defense. And, back then, before Chuck Noll handed it over to Bill Cowher, he'd put together a solid defense of players such as, I think at that point, Greg Lloyd was there. Kevin Green might have been there. I'm not sure.
David Little.
I'm not sure if Carnell Lake was there. Rod Woodson.
Rod Woodson. Yep.
And then Bill.
Yeah, Carnell Lake was definitely there. Yep.
And Bill Cowher took over, and he had Neil O'Donnell as quarterback. He had receivers like Yancey Thigpen, and decent enough offense. Barry Foster, I believe that was it. It was the running back. There was
Merrill Hogue. Don't forget about the Hogue.
Yep. And my first heartbreak was the 1995 Super Bowl.
Oh, Larry Brown.
Fear itself says Louis Lips.
So
Louis Lips was late 80s. I don't know if he was on that early 90s team.
That was before I was born.
That was Bill Cowher's first Super Bowl, and the only coach that I know that out of the half had enough balls to kick an onside kick and get it. We did lose to Troy Aikman, Jay Novacek, Deion Sanders, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. So there's really no shame because that team was just ridiculous. So even though Troy Aikman, in my opinion, has always been kind of overrated.
Yeah, fuck that dude. He was talking shit about Mahomes, and he goes, check back with me whenever he catches up with my... And, he's way past Troy Aikman now. And,
the thing is, Troy... And I don't want to get off on too much of a side tangent before we get into the games, but Troy Aikman had the benefit of one of the most solid offensive lines, I believe, in NFL history. If you look at what Emmitt Smith did to defenses, and then you're throwing it to Michael Irvin and Jay Novacek, I mean, and that defense, that's the reason why they won 3 Super Bowls in a row.
3 out of 4.
3 out of 4.
Yeah.
All right. So with this show, folks, we're going to be going game by game, week one's going to be a little different. I think for everyone to kind of get a handle on what everyone is dealing with and facing, not only are we going to go game by game, but through each team, we're going to give our opinion on their offseason, where they're projected, what we know, and what we think. I don't want to take a lot of stock in the preseason, but preseason can, in some cases, how the first team offense and defense performs can be a blueprint in some respects of how a team is going to go, but I don't take too much stock in it. We are also, during each game, are going to give our picks. So I'll have a pick for the game, Sturm will have a pick, Bob will have a pick, and my fiance is going to have a pick because I just so happen to look out and am about to marry a woman that loves watching football as much as I do.
She's a winner.
Which is insanity. So let's.
What's her team?
She's a Giant fan. She's a diehard Giant fan.
All right, that's acceptable.
No, she has stuck with the Giants through the good and the bad. She's seen them live. She's gone to their off-season practice, when training camp is in. She's diehard Giants. So let's get into it, guys. You guys ready? Are we ready to talk football?
Hell yeah, man. I've been waiting to do this.
I'm ready.
All right. So first of all, there's going to be a couple times throughout the week where we may have an upset alert. And the first game we're going to talk about. Oh, shit. We got upset alert.
What the hell was that? Send me the sound and I'll do it for you next
alert. Time. All right, so game one.
It's an air raid siren.
Oh, okay.
That's the Death Star alarm.
Oh, is that what that is? Play it one more time. I couldn't hear it. I thought it was just an air raid.
I thought it was an air raid.
It's not coming through very well on our end, but at least not on my end.
We got to up our production for.
I got you. I'll find it.
Come on, Bones.
So,
let's get to this.
First game. We got the Lions, the Chiefs. That happens Thursday night. Spread right now, due to news that we will talk about, it was 6.5. It's now Chiefs by 6. So what I'd like to start with is let's kind of hit up each team and where they're standing right now. Let's start with the Lions. And what do you guys think? The Detroit Lions ended last season on a hell of a run, went 8-2. Dan Campbell seems to be a coach that has his team believing. What do you guys know? What do you guys think about the Detroit Lions?
So the Lions, what was their record? Their final record last year, was it 8-9 or were they 9-8?
I think they were 9-8 and just missed the playoffs.
Yeah, I remember last week of the season at Green Bay, they knocked the Packers. Just had to win and they were in, and they kept the Packers from going to the playoffs, which was a very sweet game in my opinion. So the Lions are one of those teams every year. It's like, oh, is this finally the Lions going to end the streak? They haven't been really. I mean, they've had a couple good years here or there, but it's been the 50s and Bobby Lane since they won a championship. And they've flirted with the Barry Sanders years with championship potential and with what's his face who's now with the Rams. I can't remember the quarterback's name. Stafford. And Dan Campbell seems like a hell of a coach. He's a good motivator. That team is gritty. They're a gritty, hard-nosed kind of, fight you for 60 minutes kind of team. I think the Chiefs are a little soft, man. I really do. So this is one of those classic season opener. Chiefs going to be getting their rings. Everyone's happy, still putting up the banner, all that kind of bullshit. And the Lions are going to be out to prove something in prime time. So I kind of agree with Logan's upset alert here.
Well, I would think for me with the Lions, they had a really good offseason and they had a pretty decent draft. And when you think about the draft that they did, they lost running back David Montgomery, but they picked up Jahmyr Gibbs from Atlanta. or from Alabama,
Alabama.
who had really good numbers. And then you think about the wide receivers in Detroit; they're elite. They were third in the NFL with 32 touchdowns, and the run game scored 23. They were in the top 5 almost every offensive category. The biggest issue I have with Detroit is it's the defense. And I think that's the big reason why they picked up safety CJ Gardner-Johnson and Cam Sutton from Pittsburgh. So you look at that and the fact that last season they ended on a streak of 8-2. Dan Campbell has this team believing they have the 11th easiest schedule in the NFL. There is an amazing possibility that they could not only go for the division, but with what we're going to talk about with the Chiefs, there is massive upset alert with this kind of offensive potency.
They scream, get into the playoffs, and then choke. That's what I see them doing.
That's yesterday's Lions.
Like, I agree 1,000%. You guys are hitting it on the head. But they just scream that team that, they're probably going to kick ass in the regular season and just get wiped out by.
The Lions have to for sure prove it on the field. And, winning a bunch of games down the stretch in a lost season, because that's what it was last year. I mean, they finished hard, don't get me wrong. And that's worth something all by itself when you play that hard in a lost season. That's worth something. But at the end of the day, I mean, their season was over. Now they're in prime time. They're in the season opening game on Thursday night against the Super Bowl champs. We're going to see what they're made of. Are they going to wilt and get blown out? Are they going to I think it's going to be close. I think this is going to be a super close game. I think the loss of Kelsey is going to be devastating for the Chiefs.
That's big news. So, Bob, here we go. We're about to hit up the Chiefs. I didn't feel like their offseason was too bad. You guys did lose Orlando Brown Jr. You lost him to Cincinnati for big money. That was a big anchor in your line. Chris Jones is still a holdout, man. You were second in the NFL in sacks last season, but Chris Jones made up for 15.5. You also picked up edge Charles Omenihu, but he's suspended for the first 6 games due to, I think it was a gambling thing. And now there's word, as of today, that Travis Kelce may have hyperextended the knee and is questionable for the opener.
All right. Anything else?
I mean,
there's no chance he plays, right? You're not going to risk him in week 1, right?
Not
you're
not
not going to risk it.
But in terms of upset alert, I mean, if you look at the production that Patrick Mahomes has, 25% of his offensive production is him, Travis Kelce. So that needs to be made up. And again, with Chris Jones holding out, your other player on a suspension, I mean, you had decent sacks last year, but I don't know where that sack rate is coming from. And your secondary is decent. It's not great. So I'm thinking you're on upset alert. What do you Chiefs fan? What do you think?
Guys, I have a question. Is the quarterback hurt?
Oh, Christ. I knew that was coming.
Is Mahomes hurt? If he's not,
who is he going to throw the ball to? Because who are their starting wide receivers even? I mean, they don't have the best.
Kadarius Toney was injured most of but he's back now. So Kadarius Toney's number 1, and when he's healthy, and I know that's a problem, but when he is, he's one of the scariest receivers in the game. I don't care.
No, Kadarius Toney was an amazing pickup, and the fact that the Giants couldn't make him work I think is going to be a big benefit in this game if Travis Kelce isn't a go. So that means your wideouts are really going to have to step up.
Right.
And also your run game, which you didn't really, I mean.
Can chat tell him we have a run game? Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, and then there's someone else too. Like we're good, man. They've always done.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Now I don't like him. I mean, I don't have anything against the guy, but he's done some things. I just don't see him being like nothing but a back.
Here's another factor.
I will believe your run game when I see it. Now, last Super Bowl, what Andy Reid did against Philadelphia, rushing for 158 yards, that was brilliant because he knew Philly was weak against the run. I want to see it throughout a season. I want to know if every win is going to be on the arm of Patrick Mahomes.
Here's a matchup that I'm interested in, and I'm curious what Old Man thinks with his stats over there. Aiden Hutchinson, and he's now in year 2. And, I think most your average football fans don't really know who he is, never seen him play. Here's another chance for this guy to introduce himself to the world. And I think he's going to have, this guy could be game for 20 sacks this year. Can the Chiefs block this guy on the pass rush? What do you think?
Aiden Hutchinson?
Yeah.
Last year, his sack total,
it was like, 10, I think, as a rookie.
As a rookie, yeah, it's a possibility he could. If Chris Jones continues to hold out, yeah. But again, he had a decent sack total. But is that sack total attributed to the fact that more offensive linemen were paying more attention to Chris Jones last season?
No, Aiden Hutchinson on the Lions. The Lions defensive lineman, defensive end.
Oh, Lions.
Yeah.
I've never heard of him, so I don't even know who he is.
That's my point. He was the Lions. I think he was the 2nd or 3rd overall pick out of Michigan last year. Dude was a stud his rookie year. And, we'll see how he does this year. He could have the sophomore slump or he could break out.
Wow, I just completely fucked up. Aiden Hutchinson, is on the Lions.
Well, who knows? But yeah.
Is that what you're saying? No, I'm trying to get that right.
Yeah, last year he had 9.5 sacks, 2 fumble recovers, 3 interceptions on the defensive line.
And he played for who?
The Lions. Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan, number 97, defensive end.
No shit. That dude totally escaped my radar. See, this is why I love bringing people on to NFL podcasts, because you always learn something.
Yeah, that guy
always learn something.
But I think by the end of this year, you're going to be like Aiden Hutchinson. You're going to know everything there is to know about this guy, because I think he's going to have double-digit sacks, maybe approaching 20. Maybe that's being a little too optimistic. It all depends on matchups and how the season goes, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
but this guy's the real deal.
The biggest glaring point that I had with the Lions, probably why I didn't hear from him, is that the biggest takeaway I got from them is that they were giving up 5.2 yards per carry last year. He might not be that much.
He might not be much of a run stuffer, but again, he's 6'7", 268. Again, just a rookie last year.
But that's the thing, yeah. If you can pressure the quarterback, especially Patrick Mahomes, and get him a little bit uncomfortable so he's not standing in the pocket, that's going to be outstanding.
Right. Are their dime backs good? Because most of these guys are first and second years.
No, the Lions last year were absolutely terrible in the pass game. That's why they brought in Gardner Johnson and Cam Sutton.
All I'm saying is, remember, his technically rookie year, he went to the AST championship, was going to the Super Bowl, but D Ford lined up offsides. That same play, Tom Brady threw an interception and the game was over. We were going. He was a rookie, guys. And someone said it differently. I swear to God, we were like 31st ranked defense. And it was Bob Sutton. He was terrible. He was horrible. And Mahomes still did it. And he didn't even know how to read defenses then. So all I'm saying is, until he proves otherwise, I think even if you're not a Chiefs fan, people need to be like, we can't pick against him. Like, remember with Tom Brady, every year everyone was like, okay, this is his last year. He's going to start regressing. And every time he proved people wrong, and you look dumb for picking against him, no matter how much you hated him. He's the new Tom Brady. But
all right, let's not get too off track here. So I did have an upset alert for the Chiefs, but
what's the spread on this? What's the spread? You said 5, 6?
No, it was 6. Yeah, it was 6.5. It's now 6. Now, here's an interesting stat that we should all pay attention to. Patrick Mahomes is 5-0 in home and openers with 11 touchdowns and no picks. Yeah, I'm taking the fucking Chiefs 34-27, and they cover the spread.
That's right. See, I got you.
I am.
So wait, we have to pick the damn score too, or we just pick the winner?
No. I will record what I pick for a score. If you want to leave a score, you mark that down. I'm doing wins, losses. I'm not doing scores.
All right, because I can't do score. I can do wins, losses. I'm not going to do scores. That's too much, man. Too much.
Right. I think the Chiefs win 34-27. I like the additions to the secondary for Detroit. The player that Sturmboch brought up, that could be a factor, making Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable. It's there are some question marks, but again, in Kansas, defending Super Bowl champs, I think they get it done. I think Patrick Mahomes amazes and figures it out, and it's 34-27. Sturm, who you got for this game?
So I'm reminded last year's Thursday night opener. If you guys remember, we had the Rams and the Bills in Los Angeles. Rams, everyone's touting them to be, the next best thing. Bills come in,
Cooper Kupp,
smack them in the face, and the Rams were never the same. I have that kind of feeling about this game this Thursday night. I don't think the Lions are going to smack them in the face, but I think they will eke out a victory. I would say,
really,
if I had to pick, I think they're going to cover the spread. That I would if I were going to put money on the game, I would say they're going to cover the spread.
No, I think Detroit. I mean, what did I put? 30.
You said 7.
Oh yeah, no. Well, yeah, no. So that's not covering the spread. No, you're right.
Yeah, I think they will win, lose or draw. They're going to cover the spread, but I have them winning probably by a field goal, something like 24-21. I think that defense without Kelsey, I mean, he's going to have problems to throw the ball. And I think that's when Aiden Hutchinson does his job, man. Gets in there, makes them uncomfortable. I say 24-21 if you're going to make me get a score.
That's the one thing. I still think they're going to cover the spread, but that's the one thing with Patrick Mahomes. There's 3 guarantees in Patrick Mahomes' life: death, taxes, and Travis Kelce at 3rd and 5. Like those are and without that,
for sure,
that is a question mark.
I mean, I'd be stupid to say no, but I'm always have faith in Mahomes. But you're right. I mean, him and Chris Jones, besides Mahomes, the next 2 best players on our team is Chris Jones and Travis Kelce, and they're out. So that is scary for a Chiefs fan. So for me, real quick, I think, of course, Chiefs. I'm going to say 14-23. I think that the young players are going to have some drops. I think we're going to have some penalties, and it's going to take them a while to get into form. But by second half, we'll do the Chiefs' second half things and come back and win.
Such a homer over there. My God, picking his Chiefs.
Always. 20-0, baby. Anything else, man? You want to move on to the next one?
No, that's it for that
Let's move on.
game. All right, so the next game we have got, the fact that we're going to spend time on this because neither team is going to make the fucking playoffs. What we're going to
Well, we can always skip. I mean, we can talk briefly about teams. We don't have to go into as much depth.
Panthers at Falcons.
No.
Yeah, Atlanta's favored by 3.5. Real quick, let's kind of look at the Panthers first. They obviously went all in on Bryce Young, gave up their 9th pick, 61st pick, the 2024 first rounder, and DJ Moore, their star wide receiver. Dude, that's about as all in as you can fucking get for a prospect. Yeah. Bryce Young is good. He struggled. He got the shit kicked out of him in preseason. He showed some flashes, but he got the shit kicked out of him. They do have a new coach, Frank Reich. He was the Eagles offensive coordinator for Philly.
He was the Colts quarterback for a while.
Yep, and he brought Indianapolis from 2018, 2022, 2 playoff appearances. Losing Moore is going to hurt, but I mean, Carolina did bring in some veterans. They brought in Adam Thielen from Minnesota. But again, their biggest weakness is going to be wide receiver depth. Losing Moore, that is going to hurt immensely for a young, learning quarterback. I think they're still rebuilding.
Where did Moore go?
That was part of the
Chicago. He's
part of the Chicago trade.
Yeah.
So that's going to hurt. I don't think Carolina is going to make a lot of noise. I don't think they're in division lead talks. I've heard some rumblings. They could make some noise, but I'm not buying it. What do you guys think about Carolina?
I mean, at the most, they're going to be the Lions of last year, where they might, get a decent record, maybe 50-50 or a little over, and that's it. That's all I see them. That's what I see their ceiling being.
Well, the 2 things that the Panthers have going for them this year is, one, the division they play in is atrocious.
It is.
NFC South is a dumpster fire. And two, they actually have a pretty good coach. Frank Reich is a good coach.
Yep.
And if you ask me, a good coach that makes up that's half the battle right there. So that being said, the other half is kind of garbage. I am not sold on Bryce Young.
Nope.
I saw a little bit of him in the preseason. I was not impressed.
Nope.
Their running back, Miles Sanders, I mean, he's retread. Adam Thielen's a retread. Everybody on that team is kind of bargain basement, secondhand players. And that's not going to get them very far, even in the NFC South. So
they did pick up a decent running back in the draft.
Who is that? Is that Chuba Hubbard?
Yes.
From Oak? No, he was from. Who was their draft?
No, Hubbard's been around for a while, I thought.
Yeah,
Chuba Robinson, I think it was.
Let's see. Hold on, I'm looking right now.
Or no, I'm looking. No, fuck.
No, they didn't get any running backs in the draft.
No, they didn't get any running backs.
Yeah, no.
We're no experts, folks. We just watch.
Well, I mean, when you talk about the Panthers, there's really, how much attention are you actually going to pay to this team? Yeah, no, I don't. I have no faith in this team at all.
They picked up Miles Sanders from Philly, Pro Bowler.
Yeah, I mean, but the guy, I mean, he's a retread, right? And he was good. He was never great. He was good. He's probably still pretty good, and he's going to get him maybe 1,000 yards. But is he really moving the needle?
Well, moving the needle, no, but he will provide a little bit of relief off Bryce Young if the offensive line can, at least play decent.
Yeah, he will be a good veteran presence, just like Andy Dalton will be for Bryce Young. But it's going to be a long season in Charlotte. We all know that.
I think we'll know by week 8 or week 9 whether Bryce Young was worth this kind of investment, because what they gave up to get him, that was a lot.
Yeah, it was. It was just like Trey Lance, and we saw how that turned out. I mean, my goodness. I don't know. I mean, I know you want to get your guy, but God, that's a lot of capital to give up for an unproven player.
So the next team we've got is the Falcons. They added some quarterback depth, Taylor Heineke. They got a decent safety and Jesse Bates III.
Is Mariota the quarterback?
No, Mariota re-signed with Philly. He's their backup. No,
it's Desmond Ridder, right?
Oh God, who is the Falcons quarterback right now?
It's Desmond Ridder, I think.
That's right, Desmond Ridder.
Who the fuck is that? I mean, I've heard his name.
No,
he was a rookie last year.
Yeah, second-year pro, decent size. He's got some pocket awareness. The other thing that's really good for Desmond Ridder this year is the fact that, man, Atlanta can fucking run the ball and they can grind clock. I mean, I think last year they had the second or third best rushing attack in the NFL.
And who are those guys? Who's the running backs?
Well, their running back this year is a rookie, Bijan Robinson out of Texas.
No, they're running the Falcons. Yeah, their running game is revamped.
I see. All right.
Didn't they use Cordarrelle Patterson a lot? Didn't he get 1,000 yards last year because he had used him in all these like sweeps and shit?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
They were doing some really weird shit with him last year.
The biggest weakness with the Falcons was the fact that they didn't have any real wideouts that could put up numbers, but they do have some potential stars in Drake London, and I hate to say this, Sturm, they picked up Mac Hollins from Las Vegas.
They did, yeah.
Career year, who had 695 yards. He had some good yardage, so he's going to add a wide receiver room that greatly needs some depth. I'm liking Atlanta to win this game, covering the spread 21-17.
What is the spread? You didn't say what it was.
Oh shit, my bad. Atlanta by 3.5.
Yeah, I agree. I think Atlanta covers the spread. I think this is a snooze fest.
And here's another interesting stat. The last rookie quarterback to win his first game start was not the car that's in the NFL now, his brother.
Oh, David?
Yeah. That was quite a bit time ago.
That was the first overall pick, or
No, the last, I think, rookie QB, somebody check my stats out there, but the last rookie QB to win his opening start.
Well, I like the Falcons in this game. I have Drake London on a couple of my fantasy teams. And I had him last year, too. And the guy was good. He put up over
he is.
almost 1,000 yards last year in his rookie year. I think he's going to be even better this year. Mac Hollins, I'm a former Raider, so I'm a fan. He has good depth, and I think Bijan Robinson is going to be good as a running back too. So this team is kind of on the upward trajectory. I think they take care of the Panthers pretty easily. I'll say 21-10, and I think they cover for sure.
All right, Bob. What do you think about this matchup?
I mean, personally, I don't know a lot about the players. I don't like Drake London and stuff, but I live 4 or 8 hours, some pretty close to Atlanta, and they're red. They had Tony G, so I always root for Atlanta, even though they suck. I'll say Atlanta 27-17.
All right, so it's unanimous.
Yep.
All right. We will move on. Next game, and this is especially in my division, this is interesting. Bengals.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, this is a good one.
Cincy by 2.5. Now, let me ask you this, Sturm. Is Cincy favored only by 2.5 because of the Joe Burrow calf strain? Or
I think
is the media buying Cleveland?
I think it's a combination of those two factors. I think it's the fact that you've got Cincinnati on the road against a very fierce rival in Cleveland. You know, they have a very nice home field advantage there on the lake. And I do think that this Cleveland Browns team, you know, if they're going to make some noise, this is it. This is Deshaun Watson's time to shine if he can. So I think when you add all that up, I I expect a good game out of this. This would be a tough one to pick.
Do you guys? I'm sorry. Go ahead, buddy. My bad.
I was going to say, it may really come down to how serious that injury was. I don't think it's going to be that big a deal, honestly, the injury. But I do think the Browns are going to be a tough out this year.
Do you guys? I didn't watch. I watched a couple Browns preseason games. Did you guys see much out of Deshaun Watson? Because what I saw was terrible. I thought he looked horrible.
Well, again, I try not to take too much stock in the preseason.
Right.
Well,
let's go back to this. I didn't watch a lot. He played last year or no? A little bit.
Oh no, he was suspended. He was suspended for 12 or 13 games. Yep. He played like the last 5 games of the year. He did not play well, but he'd also missed because remember the Texans suspended him for the entire year the year before. Right. So he missed what 28 games or something, whatever the number is of action.
Yeah, I almost feel like Deshaun Watson is starting almost all over again.
I mean, he's a good quarterback. He puts up amazing numbers. You know, before he was right there with Mahomes as far as stat wise for a while.
Well, the thing is with Cincy, I mean, you have Joe Burrow, you have the calf injury. They are saying that he's supposed to be good for week 1, but when you look at what the biggest issue with Cincy was over the past several seasons, Joe Burrow has not been in the league very long, but he has been sacked a shitload of times and has taken a beating. And they did address that by signing offensive tackle Orlando Brown Jr. from the Chiefs. That's huge. He's going to anchor that line for Joe Burrow for quite a while. They did pick up Miles Murphy on the edge, cornerback DJ Turner, safety Jordan Battle. So they did address a little bit on their secondary. They're gonna move Jonah Williams to left or moving from left tackle with Orlando Brown Jr. I think Cincy is still the front runner for the AFC. I mean, I think it's going to depend on week 1. How well does Joe Burrow play on a calf that everyone is saying is okay? Yet the man in practice had to be carted off the field. I mean, how are you guys seeing Cincy this year?
And they go as Joe Burrow goes. I mean, that's it. Their backup is Jake Browning, who I don't even know who that is, frankly. Do you know who that is?
No, not as well.
So, yeah, Jake Browning is the bad. They only have 2 quarterbacks on the depth chart, him and Jake Browning. So I guess that tells you how they feel about the injury. So I think that means that they're pretty confident that Joe Burrow is going to be okay. But that team has all the weapons. I mean, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. They can throw the ball up and down the field. They can run the ball. They can do it all. So their offense is for real. It's right. It's can they protect the quarterback? Can they stop the other team? Those are the only 2 questions that you have when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals. And honestly, most of the time, they doesn't matter if they stop the other team. They just outscore the shit out of them, you know?
The Bengals wide receivers are so good, the backup could just dink and dunk it all day, and they could still win. I believe that. I think they make Joe Burrow look better than what he really is. But I'm a Chief fan. You know how we are right now. But is that all you wanted to say, Sturm?
You're bitter. What's that? Yeah, that was all I had to say.
Well, I'll go into mine then. But I'm still going to get – go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, well, T. Higgins will be eligible for an extension at the end of the season. So Chase and Joe Burrow is right up there. So the other thing is with Cincy, the window to win is right now because pretty soon, due to salary cap, you're going to have to sign these guys. And Joe Burrow, I'm sorry, it's already been predicted. He's going to command one of the biggest salaries in quarterback history.
For sure.
So I think Cincy has in place what they need right now. Their window may be closing. So let's
hot take. Jamar Chase is better than Joe Burrow.
No, I don't. The quarterback is far more
that
valuable.
Dude is insane. I would give my left testicle, both testicles, maybe even all 3 appendages to get Jamar Chase on the Chiefs. He's that
Bones. I'm going to tell you right now. I love Jamar Chase. That man is a stud. He is an absolute man, giant amongst men in terms of wide receivers. But being that I have to watch my team play Cincinnati twice a year, and I'm very familiar with Joe Burrow's game, and I've watched a lot of the games that he's played your boy, and your boy has lost. Joe Burrow is just that special.
But hold on, does Mahomes
play
defense?
Football. What's that?
That's on the defense. That's on the Chiefs' defense for letting Burrow do that. Mahomes doesn't play defense.
No, I understand that. But I've seen some of the throws that Joe Burrow has made, and they are absolutely sensational.
I know.
Yes, he has great weapons to catch those balls, but
I didn't say he's bad. I just said Jamar Chase is better than him. I didn't say
he's not better.
I didn't say
well, here's the thing. If you had to, this is the perfect question for Logan. If your team faces the Bengals twice a year, who would you rather them not have on the other side? Would you rather them have Joe Burrow or Jamar Chase?
I'd rather have Jamar Chase out of the lineup.
You'd rather have Jamar Chase out of the lineup instead of Joe Burrow?
Oh, no. Like out for the game, like injured or something?
Well, just not injured. I'm not wishing injury on anyone. I'm just saying, if you could take a player out of the Bengals lineup, would you take out Joe Burrow or would you take out Jamar Chase?
Oh no, I would take out Joe Burrow.
Yeah, because he makes the whole thing go. Jake Browning is not going to scare you like Joe Burrow does.
No,
I don't think so.
Jamar Chase is one man, and if he's open and catches the ball, depending on secondary coverage, it's pretty much all statistics if he catches it.
If you miss a tackle on that guy, he's probably going for a touchdown.
If Joe Burrow is out, I got to rely on their backup. I mean,
yeah,
I'll take that all day. The one thing I will say, is that they didn't really improve their defense too much. I mean, if it's one thing I got to say about a couple teams in the NFL, such as like the Chargers or Cincinnati, they've followed kind of the blueprint of what Kansas City is doing. Have a shit ton on offense, have 1 or 2 really good defensive players to pressure the quarterback. And that's it. But make sure your offense is stacked.
Yeah,
that's like the NFL model right now.
Well, when they got rid of Eli Apple, that was an upgrade. I hate that guy.
All right, so let's go over the Browns.
I haven't got to do my. Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say let's go over the Browns real quick. So, Browns had a busy off season. They added some massive D-line help. I actually think with the additions that they made, Myles Garrett now has one job: terrorize quarterbacks. They did lose running back Kareem Hunt. They did lose safety John Johnson III, Javion Clowney, but then again, he hasn't done much in years. And backup quarterback Jacoby Brissett. Biggest issue I saw with Cleveland last year, their special teams was dreadful, and their run defense was not good. And this year, Deshaun Watson, I mean, I don't know. I guess being a Steeler fan, I'm biased. They're the Browns. The Browns are the Browns. Until I see something different, they're the fucking Browns. They're going to end fourth in the division. I'm sorry. I'm calling it. Hot take incoming. Browns will finish last in the division.
I'm sorry, Paul, because he's a Browns fan. But yeah, like
Paul's a Browns fan?
Yeah, he's a Browns fan.
Dude, what is wrong with you?
But they're the color brown. Like, it's just
they're shit.
They're called the Browns. Yes, the color of shit. I don't have anything against them. I do like.
I remember. I can't remember. It was in the 90s. I remember the Browns came back, and Drew Carey announced them to the team, and it was a team coached by Bill Cowher's Steelers. Cordell Stewart was the quarterback, and the Browns' first game back was a 42-0 drubbing by the Steelers. Fuck you, Cleveland. Fuck you.
I don't hate him that much, or even hate him at all. But
was that Tim Couch's first game? Was because he was their quarterback back then?
No. Tim Couch was several years later.
Okay. Oh man.
So, anyways, what were you saying about him?
So, for me, the end of this game, it's going to be close because if we actually look at it by the numbers, Cleveland actually plays Cincy very tough. I think the last, and somebody can check me on this, but I think if I remember correctly, their last 4 games have been decided by a field goal. But I am going to go with Cincy wins this 27-24. So
what's the spread again?
The spread was Cincy by 2.5.
Cincy by 2.5. This is one of those hard ones to pick.
I know,
it just
man.
Depends
rough.
Which Browns are going to show up. They've got the coach Stefanski. I mean, he's done some good things with the Browns.
Yeah,
and
he's tried. He's definitely tried.
They've been respectable. I think we have a year with Deshaun and the system under his belt. You know, he's getting back. He's got full off season, whole 9 yards, practicing with everybody. He's got to be better. Nick Chubb is a stud. We all know that. They've got good receivers. Defense is good. Myles Garrett is good. Is it enough? That's the real question. Is it enough? I think at home, opening week, I mean, it's now or never for the Browns. They don't win this game. They go in and get blown out. I think that tells a lot of where the season's going to go. Man, I think I'm going to pick the Browns in this one. I'm going to pick them like 27-24. Do the upset. Let's hear it.
You got an upset alert. Sturm's going with it. We got Cleveland.
It sounds like a bird call coming from that far away.
Here's another reason.
Our production is shit. We're going to work on it for a week.
Here's one other reason.
We got a lot.
One other reason I'll throw out there. Bengals are one of these teams. September games don't matter as much to them as November, December games. Case in point, last year home opener at Cincinnati versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was at the game, OldManLogan, and Steelers came in, and I think they picked off Joe Burrow 3 or 4 times. Took one back to the house.
They picked off Joe Burrow 4 times that game.
Yep. They just weren't ready, and I think that we might have that same effect this week. So that's why I think we got a little bit of an upset with the Browns. I'm picking the Browns.
Joe Burrow is not good in home openers. He doesn't have Patrick Mahomes stats. That's for damn sure. Bob, what do you got?
I think Cincinnati's going to come in like they have been like they did. Like they're going to be good. I think Browns are good. I think Browns play smash mouth football with Nick Chubb. They'll just hit you in the face with Nick Chubb like most of the game and wear your ass out. So I think Bengals are a much better team overall, and they're just going to overcome it. Like, it's going to be a hard-fought battle. I don't think they're just going to lay down and let one side's going to let them win. I think it's going to be very close. I think he doesn't show any sign of anything wrong with his foot. Talking about Joe Burrow, I think he balls out. I think they'll score a touchdown at the very end. It's going to be a close game until the end, and I'll go 27-21. Bengals.
Let's see.
Bengals. Bungles. You know, they used to be called the Bungles when they sucked, right?
Bungholes. They still are. I like that one.
The Bungles. All right, folks. Next, we got another division game. And this could be interesting. And we will get into it. Jags at Colts. Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence favored by 5 points. Let's talk about the Jags. They did keep running back Dearness Johnson. That's outstanding. So their running game is going to be intact. In the draft, they picked up Anton Harrison from Oklahoma. Really good, another offensive lineman to protect Trevor Lawrence. They did lose Marvin Jones Jr., wideout in departures, but they had a decent offseason. The other thing is, I think if I remember this correctly, Jacksonville is actually returning 21 or 22 starters from last season. So
it can't be 22. That's the whole team.
Well, no, 21 starters from last season.
Oh,
so
that's still almost the whole team.
That's pretty much the whole team. It's loaded with depth. I think they're going to run away with the division. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be top 8 passer in the league. Another year under his belt.
He was balling in preseason. I saw some dimes he was throwing in touchdowns. I thought from where he was doing good last year, right? I think he's exponentially better already, even this season. So he was just. I know it's preseason and we don't put stock into that, but.
I was at the Jaguars-Raiders game last year, and you guys probably don't know, but we had a 20-point lead, and that quickly evaporated when Trevor Lawrence kept throwing the ball, and we couldn't stop anybody.
Oh, that game when Trevor Lawrence went ape shit?
Yes.
He went absolutely fucking ape shit.
Wasn't that the biggest comeback in NFL history? Or is that
that was the Colts Vikings.
It was the same. It was
that was
last
the
year,
Colts
though, right?
Vikings. Yeah, that was the Vikings-Colts game. Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah,
but no, it was a 20-0 lead. So the Raiders last year, the only team in NFL history to blow 4 20-point leads and lose games in the history of the league. Which, when we get to the Raiders, we can talk about that and how that.
I think this year's
but anyway, my point is the Jaguars are going to be a man amongst boys in that AFC South this year. The only team that might give them trouble is going to be the Titans. This is going to be a destruction. The Jaguars are going to smoke the Colts. Not even close.
I've got a hot take about the Texans later, and I don't like it because I love their coach, but we'll get to that.
The only question I have for the Jaguars is how are these receivers going to play? They had Kirk last year. He's pretty good. Calvin Ridley suspended a whole year for gambling. Zay Jones is another Raider cast-off. Not bad, but he's not your number one. So, we'll see what they can do with that receiver core. If they can step up, they're going to have a good year.
Well, no, and I think, Jacksonville also traded for Ridley. He was suspended, reinstated in March, but for Atlanta last year, he caught 90 passes for, over 1,300 yards.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, so he quickly is going to become Trevor Lawrence's number one receiver. And that is
but you always got to wonder, is a year off going to do anything to the guy? That's why I always worry about.
I don't know. I think he got I would like to think that enough reps in training camp preseason can get him and Trevor Lawrence on the same page. And if that happens, that's going to be a nasty combo.
Yeah, it has potential to be one of the league's best combos for sure.
Yeah. So we've got the Colts. They did get a head coach. They got Shane Steichen he was the Phillies offensive coordinator, which that says a lot because Philly put up quite a few points. They picked up a couple pieces. I will say in the draft, I don't know what you guys saw, but quarterback Anthony Richardson, have you seen the size of this kid?
I have not.
6'4", 244.
He's like Cam Newton, basically.
Cannon of an arm, Florida Gator. Dude, this kid could be fucking legit. This is a freak specimen that they picked up.
All right, so here's what I'll give you my take on that. These guys.
Where at in the draft did he get picked?
He was their first pick.
I know, but what
was
it? Number
the fourth
one?
pick overall.
Fourth
pick.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, were you gonna say something there, Bones?
No.
I was just asking about his draft, where he got drafted.
So I'm not sold on Richardson. First of all, the Colts can't figure their way out of a wet paper bag, right? They screwed up the Jonathan Taylor situation beyond belief.
They did.
The whole coach situation from last year when they hired Jeff Saturday, who won his coaching debut against the Las Vegas Raiders.
He did too, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said, motherfucker. But they screwed that up. The way they managed Anthony Richardson in the preseason was an abomination. They name him the starter. The guy's a rookie. They name him the starter, and they immediately sit him in week 2 of the preseason, and then they play him in week 3, and you're like, wait, what? Why? If you're treating him as a starter in week 2, why on earth are you playing him in week 3? It made no sense. The guy should have been playing all 3 games. So in this game, you got Anthony Richardson, first game as a pro. You got Jonathan Taylor, who's on the bench. I don't know who any of their receivers are, but brand new rookie coach, a meddling owner who doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. This team is going to be atrocious this year. They're going to suck, and they're going to lose this game big.
I would, in fact, I think my final score will reflect that. I like Anthony Richardson's size. I like the skill set he brings. He's a big quarterback. He's got decent pocket awareness. He's got a cannon of a fucking arm. He can run. He's got all the instincts. But I think the way the Chiefs have their team built right now, like if
the Colts,
the Colts, if Anthony Richard, not Anthony Richard, if their running back were to stay, doesn't get traded, that could be different. And I just don't know. I mean, no one is offered for him right now.
A great running back. That dude is crazy.
Well, he's still on the team. They put him on the PUP list.
Yeah.
You're talking about Taylor, right? Yeah. He's on the PUP list for 4 or 6 weeks, whatever it is.
Yeah. But, I mean, overall, I think it's safe to say that Matt Ryan and Jeff Saturday, that experiment was a complete failure.
Yeah.
I mean, they hired a new head coach. We'll see what he can do. But I'm sorry. My final score for this, Jacksonville, this is a statement win that Trevor Lawrence is a quarterback to be reckoned with in this league, and I predict 34-17.
That's weird.
Yeah, I 100% agree. My score was 35-10.
That's weird because I was about to say 34, 28. but
You're giving them way too much credit, man.
You are.
No, but
Anthony Richardson's first start.
Pick my pick though. I just said my.
It is Anthony Richardson's first start. He's a big kid, but
he may have all the tools in the world. He's so raw. He is so raw.
He is.
And we'll see. He reminds me of like Cam Newton and that kind of mold of a quarterback. And those guys, can they develop to be an NFL style passer? That's if he can do it, the guy's he's gonna dominate for 15 years. If he can't, he's gonna be like Cam, who made flash in the pan, and
I wouldn't
and
even
he'll be
say.
gone.
I mean, 15 years. I mean, these big physical quarterbacks that also want to run. I mean,
Right.
their lifespan is shortened.
Yeah, that's why they have to learn to throw the ball, because if they can't, that's it.
Like right now, do you think Josh Allen is going to be the same quarterback in 5-6 years from now than he is now?
No, I think, so like Russell Wilson is the perfect example of that. Like that guy is the best runner you've ever seen in your life, because he was never stupid when it came to running the ball. Anyone came within 5 yards, that guy was sliding, slide. Unless maybe you needed a first down and a critical point. He's very smart about that. These other guys, it's first and 10, and they're fighting for to get a 5-yard gain, and they're doing headers into the linebacker, and you're going to get hurt doing that. You just can't do that.
All right, Bob. What did you have for this last game for Jags Colts? Did you pick the Jags?
No, 34-28 Lions. Because here's my thing about that.
Wait, what?
What?
Yeah, because listen. Here's my
Jags
reason.
Colts.
Oh, Jags. I'm sorry. What did I said? Lions. I meant Colts. Colts
and
Lions.
Yeah.
They look.
The Colts.
Yeah. Let me explain. All year after year after year, Colts overall, after the season's done, they suck. But like the first 5 games, they'll have a winning record, and then they just suck for the rest of the season. But they'll make people start talking like, oh, maybe they're gonna do something, and then they just start to suck. But they usually go 3-2 or 4-1 the first 5 games every season. So I think they're gonna win this one.
You got the Colts over the Jags, huh? That's where's your alarm there? Come on.
Hold on, I'm getting it. Hold on. Oh shit! It's that is that I didn't like. Goddamn, that was.
I might be able to find you.
It's upset alert.
I think you stunned Logan there. That's an easy one. We're gonna pick that one up in the standings for sure, Logan. That's a gimme. He just gave us a freebie.
He did just give us a free win for bragging rights. All right, next game.
He's standing at the top, looking down at you two. So
all right. Tampa Bay at Minnesota. Minnesota favored by 6. Let's go over Minnesota real quick. Let's address the elephant in the room. Losing Cook, that's the biggest loss. They lost their running back to the Jets. We're going to get to the Jets later. That's going to hurt. They did lose also Adam Thielen. We'd mentioned that earlier. They lost a couple other players. I mean, they didn't have the greatest offseason. They maintained what they needed to, but I mean, their defense is absolutely horrible. I mean, they managed to win 13 games while surrendering 3 more points than it scored in the regular season. But I will say, I think picking up Brian Flores is going to help as their new defensive coordinator. I mean, he had history with Miami. He went to Pittsburgh, and now he's with Minnesota. But Kirk Cousins getting old. They do have one of the best fucking wideouts in the game. So I still think they're going to compete in this division with the Lions, but I don't think they're going to be as good as they have been in the past couple of years. And I know that was that Netflix special. Everybody loved Kirk Cousins. I love Kirk Cousins. I thought he was like the nicest fucking dude you could ever meet. But as a fan of the game and a non-professional analyst, I think Minnesota is going to regress this year.
They almost have to regress, right? They won 13 games last year, 14 games.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's hard to even maintain that kind of success. It is hard to believe how old Cousins is. He's 35, and if you remember, he was the second quarterback the Commanders drafted that year. You guys remember who the first one was?
Oh shit! You're
Robert
testing
Griffin
my
III.
knowledge now, Storm.
Yes, RG3.
Robert Griffin III. That's right.
Who would have thunk it that RG3 is an analyst and Kirk Cousins is still going strong in the NFL, but
and still playing at a decent level.
For sure.
What other team has ever done that? I had never seen someone like draft two
quarterbacks.
QBs. Yeah, I'm sure it's been done before, but can you guys recall when that's happened before? Other than that,
well, I'm not even starting. I'm just drafting 2 quarterbacks in the same draft. It escapes me. I can't think of an example of that. It doesn't happen often because why do you need 2 quarterbacks in the same draft?
It didn't work out for them, but it was smart because he worked out.
Yeah,
he did okay with them.
Yeah, no, but I tend to think that I don't see the Vikings haven't gotten any better. They're at best they're the same as they were
really
last year.
In fact, I think losing Cooks that hurt them so much.
And the whole, Dalvin Cook you can lump him in there with Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs and these running backs who feel disrespected. And I get why they feel disrespected because they're good players and they probably deserve to get more money. It's just the way the NFL is structured nowadays. You can take out Dalvin Cook and plug in a guy like Alexander Madison.
The game is
and you're really
changing.
not going to get you're not going to get much of a drop off.
It's a pass-happy league. Yep.
So, but I mean, Dalvin Cook is such a game changer. He did have injury problems, so that is one of the concerns. But I think that losing him and putting in Alexander Madison, I do think that's a downgrade. Losing Adam Thielen, he was a good veteran presence in that team. I think that's a downgrade. And the defense is never, aside from Harrison Smith and Daniil Hunter, that defense is pretty average. So, yeah, they have the benefit of being in the NFC North, where I think the Lions really are probably going to be the only challenge to win that division.
Yeah.
But it's going to be downhill for the Vikings this year, I think. Yes.
So we also have the Tampa Bay Bucks. Biggest loss they had, Tom Brady retiring. They picked up Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield
project. Here we go.
Hot take coming at everybody. Baker Mayfield is benched by week 5 for Kyle Trask. By week 5.
Not sooner.
I have not believed in Baker Mayfield. I cannot believe, like, that man has more commercials than playoff wins.
You got to admit those Browns stadium commercials were pretty good, right? Those were funny.
They were.
Yeah. Also, but what happened to him? He was good. He was decent. I'm not saying he was amazing.
He wasn't. No, he had his moments.
He took him to the playoffs, old man. You got to admit that.
He put up good. I would see him put up
I think we're getting a little bit of Logan's anti-Browns biases coming out right now.
I'm sorry.
Here we go.
Legit the first 2 to 3
I just
years.
never bought Baker Mayfield. I mean, I could be wrong. He could go the whole season. I mean, he does have Edwins and Godwin. I mean, he's got 2 wideouts that are top notch. The talent is there, but I don't believe Baker Mayfield. I don't. They also lost Leonard Fournette. That was a big weapon on the ground. There's just I'm just not buying Tampa Bay, and I'm not buying Baker Mayfield.
They still have the same coach, right?
Yeah.
Same coach.
And right now, as I have it, I got the Vikings winning 24-10.
Yeah. But here's the thing about them. I mean, they had Tom Brady last year. They won the division at 8-9, which is an embarrassment because that was one of the worst divisions in football. And Baker Mayfield's not an upgrade. The team hasn't been upgraded in any significant way that I can see. So I don't see them getting any better. The only thing they got going for them is they play in the NFC South, just like playing in the AFC South is a massive advantage. So, it's going to be a fight between them and the Falcons and the Saints.
I feel Tampa Bay took a step back, and Atlanta and the Saints took a step forward.
Yeah, so I don't have any faith, and it's a road game in Minnesota. Minnesota's good enough to take care of this team. What's the spread?
It was 6, I believe. Yeah, 6.
Yeah, easily covered. Minnesota covers. I say they win by 10. I'm gonna say 24-14.
You got?
I have 27-13. Shit. Who was the other one? not Tampa Bay.
The Vikings. The Vikings.
There we go.
All right, so that's unanimous. We all have Minnesota. All right, we got another boring ass game. Let's burn through this real quick. There's not much to talk about. Titans at Saints. Holy shit! Talk about a snooze fest. Jesus
I don't know. I like Derek Carr.
What's Derrick Henry's status? If Derrick Henry's playing, I think I like the Titans in this one.
The biggest thing with the Titans is they're outstanding against the run. I mean, you got a coach in Mike Vrabel who was a Pittsburgh Steeler, won Super Bowls with the New England Patriots, and just has that player's mentality of hard-nosed defense. Now, if Henry's playing, outstanding. But when is Tennessee going to move on from their quarterback?
Yeah, he's mediocre.
Are we done?
Well, the guy of the future is on the roster, right? They drafted Will Levis and Malik Willis. So,
yeah.
They've been trying to replace the guy. They don't have faith in him. If I'm Ryan Tannehill, I'm like, what the fuck? What am I, chopped liver?
Is like it's.
But yeah, I think Tannehill's keeping them from elevating, and he's degressing them because I think he's degressing, because he never was amazing in the first place. And he was
okay, so I'm going to defend Tannehill a little bit here because Tannehill sucked with the Dolphins, right? Then they brought him to Tennessee, and he was lights out for like 2 seasons. That guy was throwing it all over the place.
Yeah, he had a couple.
And then the last 2-3 years, he's regressed significantly. So, he's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing.
And I think you're going to see, Levis sooner rather than later. Also considering Tannehill's struggles, but we're also talking about a team that didn't use a single pick in the draft to address a defense that was ranked 32nd against the pass and 23rd against overall last season.
Damn.
Yes.
Yeah, that's bad.
The Titans' defense was absolutely horrid. Against the run, they were solid, but you could pass against that team all day. So they've got to turn the page on Ryan Tannehill. Derrick Henry is in the final year of his contract. I think this is the last year of him being in Tennessee.
I would still.
You know what Derrick Henry's going to go? Derrick Henry is going to be that running back that a team that wants to win now is going to pick up.
I can see Bengals doing that.
Somebody.
I see him being
somebody that could be on a Super Bowl run, kind of like what the Niners did with Christian McCaffrey. Or what the Rams did with Odell Beckham Jr. That one player to fill to get them over that hump. But
you think they'll trade Derrick Henry? That's what your prediction is.
No. I don't know if he may get signed, but I'm saying if he doesn't, somebody will pick him up. But this is the final year of his contract, and I think this is the final year of him being a Titan.
Yeah, he's getting up there. He's old.
And he's taking a pounding, man. That dude, they just run the shit out of that guy. For the longest, he was the only thing they had.
This is his last. He's 29. He'll turn 30 by the start of next year. So yeah, there's not much tread left on those tires. I agree with you guys. This is last year. But so here's the thing about these two teams. Like the Saints added, of course, Derek Carr, which is an upgrade for them.
But 4 years, $150 million?
I like Derek Carr.
He's not for 4 years, $150 million fucking dollars.
He's good, man. Yeah,
that dude ripped them off. That was a horrible deal.
When it comes to these two teams, when I look at, I don't think either of them are going to have great years. I think they're going to be middle of the pack kind of teams. So when I try and distinguish between them, when I think of who is going to win, I like to look at the head coaches. And if you look at the head coaches, advantage goes one way and one way only, and that's with the Titans. Dennis Allen, a former Raiders coach, he doesn't have the right stuff to be a head coach in the NFL. He's not going to be successful in New Orleans. And I think Vrabel has been successful. He's taken that team to the playoffs, and they're always. That's one of the. So the thing about the Titans, they're always well coached. No matter who they got playing, when you go to play the Titans, you're going to get a hell of a game. They're going to beat you up for 60 minutes. You may win, but it's going to be a battle because they're going to be well coached and they're going to play hard. In that kind of game, when they're playing against a mediocre opponent, they're going to win most of the time. I think they're going to beat the Saints. What's the spread?
The spread was New Orleans by 3. So for scoring on this game, I'm actually going to disagree, and I'm going to go with the Saints. I know the Saints took a huge swing on Derek Carr. That was a ridiculous. I'm sorry. I read that the first time and went, "You people are absolutely insane." They did in key additions add some defensive line depth, and considering the fact that they ranked 5th in yards allowed last season, they had some losses, but they replaced them. Their defense is stellar. Derek Carr is not a bad quarterback. Yes, Tennessee is well coached, but I think with question marks around Ryan Tannehill, but the depth of the Saints, I've got the Saints going 17-10.
So spread by 3. I'm taking. I'm gonna take Titans. I'm gonna say something. This is gonna be one of those goofy scores. It's gonna be like
It is.
It's gonna be like 19-17. There's gonna be a missed extra point or a safety or some bullshit. 19-17. Titans win. Upset alert.
Oh shit! Hold on, I'm coming. God, we gotta get better at this. There it is. Upset alert.
I can't wait to help you out for next week.
All right, so Tennessee, we got Stern with Tennessee. Old Man Logan's got New Orleans. My wonderful bride to be, she picked New Orleans. Bob, what do you got? Because the next game, I need to go to the bathroom real quick and get a refill. Because it's Niners at Steelers, baby.
I'm ready for that one.
Oh, it's Niners at fucking Steelers, baby. Let's go. So, Bob, what do we got?
21-17 Saints. I like Derek Carr. I think he's good. So
I like Derek Carr too, but that's a lot of money for a quarterback at his age. His third down accuracy is outstanding. His pocket presence is good. His fourth quarter comebacks are legendary. New system, new coach again. It's a lot, but again, I don't buy Ryan Tannehill. I don't think he's a good quarterback. I think Derrick Henry in his younger years bailed him out and made him better than what he is. It's just like Emmitt Smith made Troy Aikman better than what he was.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
All right, gentlemen, give me 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Or 2 minutes.
All right.
3 minutes.
I got to remember when this is so I can cut it out. Sturm, you want to talk about the Chiefs for a bit till he gets back?
What's that?
You want to talk some Chiefs till he gets back?
Talk some Chiefs. What's there to talk about? We already talked about the goddamn Chiefs.
Just
oh,
let me see.
the Chiefs. Yeah.
122. I gotta edit this out. Everybody at home, I'm sorry.
He needs a refill. We've been going for an hour and a half, so
I know. We might cut out the people's questions because I don't know how many more.
Well,
do you know how many more games
there are? Yeah, we're not even half done, so
yeah.
we need to move it along because we can't. I don't want to go too long on this.
I agree.
I mean, I like talking about the games; they're fun, but we need to find a way to streamline it a little bit more, and maybe in the next weeks.
He's doing this so that because this
is
the first
setting the
episode,
stage
to kind of tell everyone what we think.
Right, I agree with that.
So yeah, next time it'll be much quicker. Because we're going into the drafts and everything else, and plus this guy, he said he had like 20 pages of notes.
I know. I was like, holy shit.
I love him as a co-host because he can just keep talking and I'll just chill. Oh yeah, 122.
I'm collecting my raid rewards. Nice.
All right, folks. I apologize if this podcast is going to take long, but there's a lot to go over for each team. Holy shit. Here we go. All right. So I'm going to do my best keep bias out, and I'm going to give my honest take on this game.
Well, let's start with the Niners. Why don't you tell us about the Niners?
Well, hold on.
We'll...
Before I give my honest take on this game, I got to do something.
Okay. Upset alert.
Upset alert!
I assume that the Niners are favored. Is that right?
And you know what? This is almost, and you'll agree with me, Sturm. This is almost a pick 'em. 2.5.
Yeah, that is a pick 'em. This is both of these teams are going to have an interesting season, and they could go.
Shit.
They could go either way depending on the quarterback. But go ahead.
So no, we're going to talk about the Niners first. Obviously, the biggest signings that they had. Now they already had an elite defense. For those that don't know, Nick Bosa is still a holdout. Hasn't signed. General Manager Lynch is there. They're working on it. They're working on it. But here we are, Tuesday. Sunday's coming.
Yeah,
hasn't reported to camp. I mean, again, Bosa. He is one of those instinctual defensive players that fuck preseason. That man knows what he needs to do, and he knows the game. So I'm not taking any stock in. Well, I didn't practice. I don't give a shit. He's still going to have to be dealt with. Now, there's two different ways this game could go, and I've got two different versions. But first of all, they picked up defensive tackle Javon Hargrave. That is huge. That is a fire hydrant of a man in the defensive line. They had some key draft additions, a nice safety. They picked up a decent kicker. Some of their departures, I mean, not a lot to deal with, although one of the defensive players they lost to Kansas City was the same schmuck that was gambling and was suspended for 6 games, so that's why Kansas City doesn't have a pass rush for their game against Detroit. At this point, the biggest question I have, and I want to know what you guys think, quarterback. And we'll get to this when we talk about Dallas, but Brock Purdy coming off surgery. Is he ready to face one of the top tier defenses in the NFL and TJ Watt? And is he what everyone is saying he's supposed to be? Because we don't really know.
That is the $1 million question, because, he had that injury in the NFC Championship game. Guy couldn't even throw the ball.
No,
that was 8 months ago, and he had to have, was it a UCL transplant? Was it like basically Tommy John surgery for a quarter? I'm not sure what it was.
It was almost
like that.
Because he was projected to not even start, and that's why I think I think that's one of the reasons they kept on to Trey Lance and then eventually let him go, was because they weren't sure about Brock Purdy, but his recovery was faster than what they expected.
Yeah, I guess that remains to be seen, right? He hasn't played anything in the preseason, and they haven't looked good in the preseason. The first preseason game the Raiders played was against the 49ers, and we blew them out. Now, granted, that's 2s versus 2s. It's preseason, everything, and blah, blah, blah. But all the reports I read when they had their joint scrimmages is when it was 1s against 1s, the Raiders blew them out as well. Like, they were pushing them around the field left and right. So this 49ers team, I don't know what to expect of them. They've got all the skill positions are good with Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle.
Yep.
They've got a good line. They got a good D line. The kicker situation is interesting. I haven't heard recently, but both of their kickers, they got rid of Robbie Gould, and then both their kickers got hurt. So what's the update on that? Do you have an update on that?
I haven't heard an update on that. What I did get an update on, and I actually, my fucking son in Iraq heard this because he is on embassy duty and also gets internet. He informed me, because he knew I was doing this, that apparently George Kittle is also questionable due to a groin injury.
Well, there you go. I mean, they've got a lot of question marks, which could make this quite an interesting game. I don't
Not
know.
to
So
mention, even when all of these people you mentioned are on the team, they still choke.
George Kittle, upset alert. I had to do it again. Sorry. So let's also talk about some of the key departures. QB Jimmy Garoppolo. We're gonna get Raiders. I don't, and we'll get to this later. Sturm, I'm on board with you, brother. I don't think the Raiders are getting enough love. You have a lot of issues on defense, but we'll get to that. They did lose some players, but again, the biggest pickup, Javon Hargrave, but with George Kittle questionable, Nick Bosa still holding out, questions at quarterback. They didn't really find quarterback insurance with letting, Garoppolo left. They traded Trey Lance. It's Sam Darnold is their backup.
That Trey Lance trade is a real head scratcher.
Oh, no. We're going to get into that. But I always felt for the past 2 seasons that San Francisco was in the best position in terms of backup QBs any team could have. And now I feel like they're middle of the pack.
Yeah, well, Darnold and Brandon Allen are their backup QBs.
That's it.
Brock Purdy goes down. You really want to hand the key to Darnold? No. And Brandon Allen? That's why I don't understand the Trey Lance trade. You gave up so much to get that guy in. You thought he was the answer. He gets hurt, breaks his ankle, and you cut him loose. He rode the bench for his rookie season, starter second year, and this was it game 2 or 3 when he hurt himself. And now he's gone. And I don't understand why you don't keep him around.
Because they knew something that we didn't. They knew something that we
did
not.
Even if he's not the answer, you gave up so much for the guy. Why not keep him as a backup?
I know.
He's got to be better than Darnold. And maybe you're right, Bones. Maybe he's not, which in that case, holy shit did they miss on that guy.
And we will also talk about, again, the Trey Lance thing, because that has had the Dallas Cowboy media in a fucking frenzy in terms of Dak Prescott. Like, that move is like the biggest head, and again, that's Jerry Jones, but we'll get into that. So again, the biggest question is San Fran quarterback play. Is Nick Bosa going to play? We don't know. He could sign a deal the day before the game and be out there in pads, and he'd do his thing. George Kittle, that's a little different. He's listed, last I checked, as questionable. He may not be 100%, but it's still George Kittle. So before that, Bob, what do you think about the 49ers?
I'm sorry, bud. Just a second. Go ahead keep talking.
What do you think about the 49ers? The San Francisco, not San Fran.
I know, I was busy. I'm sorry. I was talking to my wife. I'm sorry.
Here's what I think. I think this kicker situation is going to kick the Niners right in the ass.
It's going to lose them some games.
I bet it loses them this game just right out the gate in Pittsburgh. That's what my gut's telling me right now. It's going to be a close, hard-fought game. It's going to come down to a field goal attempt, and we all know how that wind is. And what the fuck they call this place? It used to be Heinz Field, but I don't even know what it's called nowadays. Acrisure? Why? Yeah. As a Steelers fan, you got to defend this. Why on earth did they change the name from Heinz fucking Field?
Dude, I loved Heinz Field because of Heinz Ward, the best blocking wide receiver in the history of football. Yeah. I mean, that man gave, I don't know how many players concussions. So,
plus it made sense with the Heinz ketchup and Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, whatever, Pittsburgh.
It's all corporate.
And now it's Acrisure bullshit stadium. Yeah. How embarrassing!
Fucking douchebag. Yeah. All right, let's get in with the Steelers. So I'm gonna take this away for a minute. Key additions and re-signings. I got to say, picking up cornerback Patrick Peterson from Minnesota. He is a little older, but still young enough to do his thing. Yep.
Dude, he's good.
That's a huge thing. Believe me, I know. Also, guard Isaac Suomalo from Philadelphia, linebacker Landon Roberts, linebacker Cole Holcomb, guard Nate Herbig, wide receiver Allen Robinson II from the Rams. And in this past week, I couldn't fucking believe it in Sturm. What do you think Houston is doing? Houston released Desmond King II, cornerback. And we picked him up.
They're trying to outdo Arizona. I don't know. I can't explain it.
Are we talking about two teams that were tanking? I mean, this is a former Pro Bowl caliber corner who plays solid, pursue the football kind of backfield play, and the Steelers picked. It was like I couldn't believe it. Like Tony Khan for the Steelers, the general manager, has done wonders in off-season acquisitions, and then in the draft, you've got offensive tackle Broderick Jones. The fact, and again, that that trade that we made to Chicago for that shit-ass wide receiver that we had, I can't remember his name. He was so terrible. We had the first pick in the second round and happened to get Joey Porter Jr. And the fact that I'm a Steeler fan, I know who the fuck Joey Porter is.
For sure.
Yeah, and he's pretty good.
Defensive lineman, Benton. And then, has anyone else seen the size stats on tight end Darnell Washington?
I don't even know who the fuck he is, so no.
Sturm, look that up for me and then go.
He's 6'7", 264.
Yep. That's an
I remember seeing some footage of this guy. And he looks like he's like a giant running down the field in the middle of the field for Georgia. I remember seeing that. Yeah, this guy is.
Oh damn! I gotta look.
He's massive.
So overall, I would give the Steelers obviously an A in offseason and in draft. Again, it's on Kenny Pickett. He did win the last 7 of his last 9 games. The running game needs to improve. I actually believe there's a running back controversy in Pittsburgh between Najee Harris and Warren. I think Warren is a more explosive runner. I think he's more head first. Najee Harris kind of gets under my skin. He dances around a little bit too much. But with a healthy TJ Watt, a revamped secondary, a revamped offensive line, George Pickens has been a fucking stud. According to Pro Football Focus, he was one of the number 1 wide receivers last year in catching passes that were ranked number 1 in terms of difficulty. And I saw some of his training camp catches and some of his preseason catches. And then you've got Charles Johnson on the other side. I smell upset. Steelers win 20-17.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think well, it is technically by the odds makers, it is an upset, but I agree. I think it's going to be a close game. It's in Pittsburgh. There are a lot of question marks with the 49ers.
Also, the first Pittsburgh Steeler home opener in 8 seasons.
Wow, really? That's crazy.
Yep.
You mean the home opening, like week 1 home opener?
Week 1 home opener in Pittsburgh in 8 seasons.
Yeah.
We have been on the road for 8 years.
That's crazy. So what this game to me is going to boil down to, and I think the whole Steelers season is going to be Kenny Pickett and how well he can do.
Yep.
He's the man. If he's got to be the man for the Steelers to do well. And as lucky as the teams in the AFC South and NFC South are to play in horrible divisions, the Steelers are probably in the best division in football, if not the best, one of the top 2 or 3.
I know, that's the hard part.
That's the hard part. There's no easy outs with the Ravens. My God, they always play the Steelers hard. The Bengals are a Super Bowl contender, and we'll see how the Browns do. So Steelers are gonna be tough, man. This is gonna be a hard schedule and a hard season for them. But if Kenny Pickett, if he can show he's the real deal, they could make some noise too. So I do think they'll win this game. I think that the kicking game is going to be a problem for the 49ers this week. And I think it'll be a close, hard defensive battle.
And Steelers kicking in that one end of Pittsburgh.
Yep.
That's windy.
Yep. I think Steelers will eke one out. Spread is what, 2.5, you said?
2.5.
Yeah, I think this smells like there's 13-10 kind of 1970s brawl.
It is.
Steelers, 13-10.
Yeah, it's going to be and that's the thing. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, second year in, coming off injury. If you look at Kenny Pickett's numbers, especially last year in college with Pitt, very similar to Joe Burrow. And Kenny Pickett played all 4 years of college in Pitt, knows the Steeler organization, practiced there. I think we squeak out a win against a top opponent week 1. I will say for all the listeners, my fucking fiance picked the 49ers. I didn't speak to her for 5 minutes after that pick. Sturm says Pitt. Bob, what do you got?
23-13 Steelers. I just want to say that there's teams I love to hate just as much as that I love the Chiefs. And so, like Steelers, I'm sure everyone has that same feeling about one. So I'm always watching the Steelers, whether I love them or hate them. And sometimes I'm rooting for them. You know, if they're playing some teams, I want them to lose. But I think they're going to give a lot of people a run for their money. People are used to what they've been the last few years. And so they're going to kind of give them not their all, and they're going to be surprised. And they're definitely someone you need to watch out for. And I think you're going to be happy this year, man. Because I think I was watching Pickett. I don't know which one's which. I get Pickett and Pickens mixed up, but they're just throwing dimes
one
to
is
each
running
other.
down the field catching the ball. The other one is throwing.
But the name itself. And so
I know.
they're throwing
I get him.
and they're just throwing dimes to each other during the preseason. I was amazed. So yeah, watch out for them. So yeah, whatever score I said, Steelers.
All right, next game. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this because one team is tanking and one team potentially can make the playoffs. Cardinals at Commanders. Washington favored by 7. We talk about the Washington Commanders. They did re-sign Jacoby Brissett, which is good. They re-signed some valuable pieces on the offensive line. Let's see. They did also hire former Chiefs offensive coordinator as a coach in their organization and for their offensive coordinator, which is good for second-year quarterback Sam Howell.
Eric Bieniemy.
Yep. They added veterans Nick Gates and Andrew Wiley, along with rookie Ricky Stromberg. They had to improve their offense, especially the offensive line. It allowed 48 sacks last year, which is dreadful. So they did address the offensive line for QB Sam Howell. It is a tough division. Giants, Cowboys, Philly, but they're playing the fucking Cardinals. So are we really going to spend a lot of time with this? I mean, I don't know about Washington this season. I think Juan Rivera is on the hot seat in terms of coaching. So, I mean, they need to give Sam Howell a fair chance to succeed. And
so we got this is the Sam Howell versus who's the other guy? Joshua Dobbs Bowl.
A backup quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow, that's going to be some must-see TV right there. Joshua Dobbs versus Sam Howell, a rookie. When you mentioned tanking, I think we learned all we needed to know about the Cardinal season when they cut a very solid journeyman backup, Colt McCoy. He's been around forever and can win you a couple games if you need to win a couple games as a backup quarterback. They just cut him loose, and they have Clayton Tune as their backup right now, a rookie from Houston, and Joshua Dobbs, a guy who hasn't done much in this league and Kyler Murray, of course, is out. So the team is trash. They're not going anywhere. Everyone has predicted them to be basically the worst team in the league. I think Ron Rivera is a good coach. I respect the guy. He's done good. He did great stuff in Carolina. He was a great player for the Chicago Bears back in the day when he was on the '85 Bears Super Bowl team. Yep. And he's one of those guys. Wherever he goes, he wins games, and he's made the Commanders a respectable team. And I think this is one where they get the win. What's the spread? They're going to cover whatever the spread. This is going to be a blowout, but I mean, I don't think the Commanders have that kind of firepower to be a blowout. But this is going to be like
7 points.
21-3 or something like that. That's what I see.
I had wow, Sturm. I had 20-3.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you look at Arizona. I mean, they gave up Isaiah Simmons to the New York Giants for almost nothing. Kyler Murray is on the PUP list. They gave up. I mean, again, who was that quarterback that they? Colt McCoy.
They got rid of Colt McCoy. Yeah, Colt McCoy is a good quarterback who can win some games.
They pretty much gave him away. They are tanking for Caleb Williams, without a doubt. It's the most blatant case of tanking I have probably ever seen in the NFL. Like they are all in on Caleb Williams and having the worst record. So I'm going Commanders 20-30. Like it's not even a fucking question.
You mean 23, right?
No, 20-3.
Yeah, you said I think you said 20-30.
Oh, sorry, 20-3.
Yeah. Yeah, and I said 21-3. This is going to be an easy one for the Commanders. Cardinals are going to flirt with 0-17 this year, I think. We'll see. It depends on how long Kyler Murray's out. But even then, they're not going to be that good.
No, they're not. They're going to move on for Kyler Murray, and they're going to trade him for draft capital after they get Caleb Williams.
Yeah. Will there be much of a market?
Well, considering his numbers, and the other thing is I didn't look into his contract. I don't know how much money he was owed guaranteed, but if Arizona is able to get out of this somewhat unscathed, I mean, second round, I don't know if you're going to get a first round pick. I don't know. It's going to depend on the end of the season how badly a team needs.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a mid-range draft pick team that really needs a QB, you might find a market.
Don't forget, remember the story about how they wanted to insert that clause in his contract to make him like study film. That says a lot about his work ethic.
He won't start. That's ridiculously bad.
Yeah.
So I've got Washington.
Bones, who do you got?
3-21 Washington.
All right, that's a unanimous pick. All right, another pointless pick that we're going to go over. Texans at Ravens, Baltimore by 10.
That's the spread. Wow, that's a big one.
Well, I mean, look at the additions let's talk about.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying when you see a double-digit spread in the NFL, that's saying something.
I mean, the Ravens picked up Odell Beckham Jr. In the draft, they picked up speedy former Boston College receiver Zay Flowers, who's going to partner with Beckham. The defense still ranked third in points allowed last season, still remains strong. I mean, there may be some growing pains in Baltimore with all these weapons. And, I mean, there is a new offensive coordinator in Todd Monken, but it's going to depend on the health. If we look at the trend over the past 2 to 3 seasons, I don't know what it is, but Baltimore has been riddled with injuries. And here's the other thing that I think the head coach Harbaugh is trying to do in Baltimore. He respects the quarterback's his running ability, but it's his pocket passing I still don't buy. I don't. Lamar Jackson in the pocket he's missed a lot of like on the run or being experimental, running around the pocket, making plays happen. But in the pocket, his QBR is less than if he's improvising. And I feel like we're trying to make him a pocket passer and run if needed.
Well, it seems to me in the past years they've had this kind of hybrid running off. Like they've run the shit out of the ball, and they'll use him as almost in some respects a third running or second or third running back. And you're right. I don't know if he can be a pocket passer. which means that the problem with this team is he's dangerous on the run, and my God, he can burn you fast. But
real quick.
all it takes is an injury, and all of a sudden, here we are. And you're 100% right. For whatever reason, the Ravens are always bit with that injury bug, and he's been no exception. So
No, he's not.
So here's the question. Well, the Raven season goes as Lamar Jackson can go, and if they can keep him healthy and they can keep him, able to pass the ball. He won the league's MVP. What were his passing stats that year when he was MVP? I don't remember.
It was a lot of, I mean, he was decent in touchdowns, but it was his rushing that put him above everybody else. Taking games over. That's what he did. But with Odell Beckham and some of the other weapons he now has on offense, he may not need to do that. The question is, let's not lie. Odell Beckham is not who he was when he was with the Giants. He's lost a step. He's got that veteran savvy. He's going to be able to help that wide receiver room. But he's not a down the field threat. If anything, Odell Beckham is that guy that you want to throw to on, 3rd and 6.
Yeah. So in 2019, just for reference, that was his MVP year. Must be, because he had 3,100 yards passing, 36 touchdowns, 6 picks, 66% completion percentage, 83 QBR, which is pretty good. And then he also rushed for 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns.
And that's why.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous stat line. That's a video. That's like a Madden stat line right there.
Exactly. But I think John Harbaugh, what he's trying to do is I think he's realizing that quarterbacks that are like that are not sustainable.
No, they're not.
You've got to reel them into the pocket and make plays downfield. Now, if the run is there, take it. But so much of Baltimore's offense was revolved around Lamar Jackson making plays. That's why he was so successful. But his numbers in the pocket are not as good. That's my biggest question.
Yeah, that is the biggest question for that team.
Houston, new head coach, CJ Stroud. I mean, they had a great offseason, but Jesus Christ. Will Anderson Jr. off the edge that they drafted, he didn't come cheap. Houston surrendered the number 12 pick, number 33rd pick, and a 224 first-round pick, and a 224 third-round pick. But, I mean, they got their quarterback of the future and a defensive player that's going to anchor their defense for the next decade and a half, but they're still Houston, and they're not going to be in the playoff picture. And Baltimore is going to beat the shit out of them 27-3.
I agree.
Yeah. So, whenever I talk about whenever I talk about quarterbacks from Ohio State, can you guys tell me? I love whenever someone talks to me about this hot quarterback out of Ohio State, I always ask them, who is the greatest quarterback in NFL history to call Ohio State his alma mater?
I actually don't know that.
I have no idea.
As best I can tell, the best quarterback from Ohio State in the history of the league is Mike Tomczak.
Mike for the Steelers?
Well, before that, for the Bears. Yep. He had the longest career.
Steelers. Yep.
Yeah,
Mike Tomczak.
Longest career, best career of an Ohio State quarterback. These guys from Ohio State end up being busts. And we got Justin Fields, and we can get to him in a minute. He's the next game. But jury's still out on him. Now we got CJ Stroud. But before that, we had the dude who went in the first round to the Commanders, and he sadly got killed in that hit-and-run accident. There was that guy. And there was another guy. There was the guy with the gold, the Buckeye pants or whatever. Remember that? Like, they had that whole scandal. Terrell Pryor, he was another quarterback from Ohio State. They make great college quarterbacks. These guys never transition to the pros. I don't know if CJ Stroud's going to be the guy who's different or if it's going to be Justin Fields.
Yeah,
but I'm always
Yeah.
I'm always skeptical of quarterbacks out of Ohio State. So we'll see. But nonetheless, this is not their year. This is going to be a growing year, if anything. That's their best hope is let's get 6 wins. We'll call it a good season. Get a couple good draft picks next year. Though I think you said they traded away some of their capital.
No, they
to get
did.
Stroud.
That defensive player, they gave up they banked so much on their future in this last draft.
Yeah.
They're not. Yeah. I mean, I actually think that's why Desmond King they released Desmond King and the Steelers picked him up. They don't. I don't think they have a lot of draft capital. Yeah, I mean, they drafted well. Their offseason was well done, but they gambled. They swang big.
This is a growing season. I think the Ravens are going to beat them.
So you've Sturm, you got Baltimore winning big?
Yeah, I say Baltimore 28, Houston. I'll give him 14. 28-14.
Oh, I give him a field goal.
Yeah, they're going to do better. Who knows? Sorry, it's always tough to predict. It's tough to predict, but that's what I'll say. 28-14.
Bob, what do you think, brother?
Which pick?
Houston at Baltimore.
Oh, we're still talking about that? Yeah, Baltimore all day. I thought I said that altered. Yeah, my bad.
All right, next game.
Well, hold on, real quick.
I
just saw breaking news. Mike Williams is dead at 36 years old.
What?
Wide receiver for the Buccaneers, Bills, and Chiefs.
Mike, no shit.
Doesn't he still play?
Yep. He quit in 2016. He apparently was at a construction site and got in an accident. And he died from his injuries.
Oh,
Mike Williams.
Condolences to the family, man. That's
crazy. Thoughts and prayers to him and his family. That's
terrible news.
That's absolutely horrible.
Yeah. All right, next game. What do we at? We at the Bears. Packers.
We got Packers at Bears, and this was dead. This actually, according to Vegas, was the pick. Let's go over the Packers. They did. They got Tavarius Moore, Rudy Ford, both safeties, looking to shore up the backfield. I will say Green Bay's offensive line is outstanding. They had a pass block win rate of 66.8% last year. I will say over the preseason, I think they coddled Jordan Love. I watched some of his preseason games. It was pitch outs, slants, nothing really pushing it downfield. It was tailored to make him feel comfortable. I think the biggest weakness that Green Bay has is it's got one of the youngest, if not the youngest, group of receivers and tight ends in the league. There's very little experience when it comes to him for offensive production. I mean, their most experienced receiver is second-year Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson. That's it. That's who they got. Second-year guys.
Yep.
So Jordan Love is literally walking into this season with a completely different offensive identity. And I don't know, Sturm, what do you think? Was it right to coddle him in the preseason and not let him air it out and work some things out in timing? I mean, every preseason game where he played, it was dip and dunk check down. Just let's be safe and make him comfortable.
Yeah, if that's the time. I think you're right. I think a guy like Jordan Love, who's coming in with very little experience, he needs those reps. He needs to try and simulate the game because now the game is here. So it got real fast. Got real fast, and we'll see what Jordan Love is made of. I don't know what to make of the guy. I'm really curious. This is going to be one of the big questions of the league this season: is how is Jordan Love going to play? And he's following the footsteps of not only one Hall of Famer, multi-MVP winner Hall of Famer, and a Super Bowl winner in Aaron Rodgers, but also Brett Favre. And this team has had unprecedented success at the quarterback position, probably in the whole history of the league. And so all the pressure is going to be on Jordan Love. And I mean, if history is a guide, it's not going to go so well for him. I mean, maybe he can, and maybe he can break the mold. Maybe he'll be, I mean, another Hall of Fame quarterback. I doubt it. Maybe he can be a good pro. We'll see. But odds are we're going to have a quite a drop off in production at the quarterback position for Green Bay.
Yeah, I think so too. I just think with the youth of that offense, there's definitely going to be some growing pains. But let's move on to the opposite side of their opponent, Chicago, who did not have a great record. Their defense was the worst in the National Football League.
Yep.
It was absolutely atrocious.
Worst team in the league last year for sure. Yep.
They did lose running back David Montgomery, who had a lot of yards and a lot of production. But out of the Carolina deal, they did get wide receiver DJ Moore, who's going to help out Justin Fields tremendously.
Yes.
They did make a couple of moves on the offensive line, but again, I think it's going to be the QB run show. He led the league in quarterback rushing last year for Chicago, and I don't see that changing much. I see Chicago struggling. They had a good draft. They had a good offseason, but this division is still going to come down to the Lions and Green Bay. And maybe Minnesota. Yeah. Green Bay, I have some questions. I think Green Bay can make some moves just because of how long Jordan Love's been in the league. But again, I don't have a lot of faith in Minnesota. I honestly think Chicago could finish dead last in the division.
Yeah, I think they're going to be dead last in the division. I don't think they're very good.
No, I don't either.
My wife is a diehard Bears fan, so that's going to break her heart a little bit.
Not too loud.
But again, Justin Fields, Ohio State quarterback. He's got to prove me wrong about Ohio State quarterbacks. And he can run the ball. I mean, he's got that mold. He's a game changer if he can take off and run the ball, and he can break open a game. But if it's 3rd and 15, can he put a laser strike downfield 17 yards to Darnell Mooney for a first down? That's what he needs to do to be a pro quarterback. He needs to do that consistently. I don't know if he can do it. Well, this will be the year that makes or breaks it. So, and they start off right against division rival Green Bay Packers in Chicago, who we all know Aaron Rodgers owned the Bears. So this is their chance to establish themselves against the Packers. So they're going to do it. Now's the time. Not a better opponent in the world to open with. So that should be a good game. It's going to be, what's the spread on this one?
The spread on this game was Vegas's pick of the week.
Which means what?
it was a pick 'em. There's
no spread.
There was no spread.
Wow. Well, I mean, I think that sounds about right to me.
No, I do.
The Bears on paper are not a bad team. Khalil Herbert is a good back. The receivers, I think, are good with Moore, Mooney, and Claypool. I like the tight end, Cole Kmet. The defense is it's not the best. You said they were last, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that defense has to get a lot better, and I don't know if they've improved enough for them to call themselves a better defense. But the offense on paper, if Justin Fields can throw the ball, the offense on paper looks good. One of the most interesting players on the Chicago Bears is Tyson Bagent. I don't know if that's how you say his last name.
No, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it either, but I've heard his name. Yep.
Yes, and that guy lit it up in the preseason, and he's from a Division II school, but he's got all the physical tools. And apparently it was a school in West Virginia, and he only went there because he wanted to be close to home with his family. And so, he could be the future if the Fields doesn't step up. We'll see. Could be.
So I got Green Bay. I'm not going to give a score for this game because it was the pick on the spread. So I don't even know. but I am going to pick Green Bay. I got Green Bay. My fiance has Chicago, so.
Owens, who do you got?
My bad, guys.
It's the Bears or the Packers.
I think that both quarterbacks are very similar, and they're going to be shooting it out the same way. I think both teams are pretty equal. So I don't know. I think that Justin Fields has more experience. So I think the Bears will get it 28-24.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Bears too. I think that being at home, I think they got more experience at the quarterback position. I think they're going to be motivated in this division rivalry.
I thought of that too, because I know that opening Sunday in Chicago is going to be fucking nuts in terms of noise. I know it, but there's something about, I don't know. I feel like Green Bay has the better talent on both sides of the ball, but we will see. All right. So the moment Sturm has been waiting for.
Yeah.
Here we go.
That's right.
Las Vegas, the
Raiders. You do that really well. I mean, do we have to talk about this? And we all know it's going to be a Raiders runaway blowout, right?
Hold on. Whoa. Wait. Because Denver is favored by 3.5. So
and that's horse shit. I'm going to say that's horse shit.
Is Josh Jacobs playing?
Yes.
He's a baller.
100%.
He's a badass.
Yes.
I got upset alert.
Yes, of course.
Alert.
You're going to have all kinds of upset alerts on this
I
one.
have some serious questions about your team, and we will get into that. In fact, let's talk about Las Vegas. Let's talk about some of the key additions. Jimmy Garoppolo. Jacoby Myers was a nice pickup.
He was.
Philip Dorsett, another good pickup. O.J. Howard, tight end. Yeah. I mean, you did lose Derek Carr. Dude, you guys lost Darren Waller to the Giants. I'm so shocked by that.
So Darren Waller was injured often. He was overpaid, and they ended up drafting Michael Myers out of Notre Dame, who's going to be a much better replacement, I feel.
Michael Mayer.
Meyer, whatever.
Yep. Tight end. Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's weird. I think you guys are in a really good position. I think you're starting a bit of a rebuild, but I think you're doing it with the right quarterback. You've got a really good offensive line. You're going to score points. I mean, between Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers, you're going to score points. My only issue with your team is, dude, last year you had 13 takeaways and only 6 picks. Max Crosby cannot run your defense on his own. Your defense needs some work. Like 13 takeaways and only 6 picks. Like, you need to become a lot more opportunistic on defense. Like, dude, big time. I mean, I agree. I will give Josh Jacobs credit. You led the league in rushing. 1,653 yards, man. Homeboy was fucking pounding it through the tackles. You gave him the franchise tag, which makes me believe that his days in Oakland or in Las Vegas may be numbered. Again, you guys did have a defensive problem. Your total QBR was of 55, which ranked 31st in the NFL.
Derek Carr.
Yeah, you had 27 sacks. You were 30th. Max Crosby accounted for nearly half of those. And, I mean, you needed some help. So you guys did draft Tyree Wilson at number 7 overall. But honestly, Sturm, I'm gonna give it to you. I gave you the stats. Where do you think your team is? Give us a fucking honest breakdown of Las Vegas Raiders.
Well, here's what I think. I think we get a lot of short shrift from the media, and we've been poo-pooed like we're not going to do anything. We're done for. And part of that is being in the AFC West with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and of course you got Justin Herbert and the Chargers.
Yep.
And now everybody thinks highly of Denver with Peyton there, Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. That is definitely a challenge that we're going to have to overcome. But this team, offensively, is as good as the team that went to the playoffs 2 years ago and nearly upset the Bengals who went to the Super Bowl that year. And defensively, again, probably about the same. Last year, I think I said this earlier, we lost 4 or 5 games when we had a 20-point lead. And that was the first time in NFL history that happened. If you take those 4 games and you flip them, we go from 6-11 to 10-7 and in the playoffs. So, the team is closer than most people want to give them credit for. Josh Jacobs is awesome. Devontae Adams is awesome.
Devontae Adams is a stud. Absolute beast.
Right. Michael Mayer, the new tight end, I think he's going to be really good. We actually, Philip Dorsett and O.J. Howard, neither of them made the final team, so they're gone. But Jacoby Myers is still on there. He's good.
I think Michael Mayer is going to become a very good target for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, yeah.
He likes
exactly.
He comes from New England.
Exactly. And Garoppolo, Garoppolo gets such a bum rap too. The guy,
he just needs to stay healthy.
Exactly. When he's on the field, he wins games. He always has. So we'll see. We'll see how he does. And if he can stay healthy, I like the offense. I really do. The defense is more of a question. And I think when you look at the line, I think the line is going to be good this year. I think Max Crosby's fucking stud. The he's an all-pro.
Crosby,
so we don't have to worry about him. I mean, the guy, he trains with MMA fighters in the off season. I was listening to a Raiders podcast, and they're like, he's really an MMA fighter who plays football on the side, which I think that's accurate. The guy's got a motor from hell. He just goes.
He does.
Chandler Jones had a horrible season last year, but historically he's been a good player. Hopefully he can rebound. I love Tyree Wilson. We'll see. He's had that injured foot, but if he can play like his potential, they're going to have a nasty, nasty pass rush. That's going to help the coverage. That's going to help the secondary. We got Marcus Peters from Baltimore. He's going to help. They drafted a guy not in the later rounds, but hopefully they can shore up the secondary. Linebackers, Divine Diablo, he's pretty good. I saw this Luke Masterson guy. I think he's a rookie, and it's his second year. But in the preseason, he was looking good too as a linebacker. So the defense, if the defense, again, we said earlier, what's the formula in this modern NFL?
It is
super offense and a serviceable defense. I think we can do that, and then you get the ball to bounce your way a couple times. Hell,
and the ability to pressure the opposing quarterback.
Yeah, we have that.
That's the formula. And with Max Crosby, you have that. Yep. You just got to give him an extra tool because an offensive line can double him. It's going to come down to the rest of your defensive line whether they can apply pressure.
And then the wild card that we have is we may have the best kicker in football and the best punter in football. I don't know if you've been following Daniel Carlson. That guy doesn't miss shit. And the preseason, he kicked a 62-yard field goal in the goddamn preseason.
That actually came up on my phone. I remember that. I was like, holy shit.
And that kick would have been good from 65 or 66. Yeah. It had plenty of. I was like, holy shit, this guy's in midseason form. You don't make 65-yarders like just a drop of a hat. That's practically an NFL record. It was crazy. So that kicker is amazing. Punter's amazing. We got the special teams covered. It's just a matter of defense is good enough, offense can dominate.
For Denver, Russell Wilson is
fucking
older.
Hate Denver.
They're older. Russell Wilson is not a running quarterback. He's now a pocket passer. I mean, they picked up Sean Payton. That's awesome. It's probably going to put a different culture. Russell Wilson did report to camp leaner. from what I've heard. We will see. I'm not buying it yet. That team is a mess. I like the Raiders to this game, 24-17. Upset.
Yeah, I like the Raiders too. The Raiders, another thing we haven't mentioned. I think the Raiders are a 6 or 7 game winning streak against the Broncos. They've had their number the last couple of years. Doesn't matter who's been playing or who the coaches have been. They just have the Broncos number. I don't know if Peyton can fix Russell Wilson. There's a reason why the Seahawks moved on from him. And I think the guy might be out of gas. He just might be done. And the early returns in Denver already in the preseason have been sketchy at best. And then Sean Payton, like what a way to lose a lot of respect. You heard about that whole fiasco when he took a shit all over
took a shot
Nathaniel Hackett. Yeah.
Took a shot at the Jets. And believe me, we got to speed through these next couple of games because we've got some shit to talk about the Jets. Yeah. But all right, so I got the Raiders. My fiance had Denver. Obviously, Sturm is picking the Raiders.
I'm picking the Raiders. I think it's going to be – I think the Raiders are going to go off. I'm going to say 31-21.
Gee, putting on a show. Bob, what do you got for the Raiders?
31-21.
This is a tough one because with Sean Payton being here, that might throw a wrench into things. You know how Sturm, you were talking about like coach, when he throws a coach into things? But I don't know. I'll go Raiders. I have a feeling about Raiders. No real reason, but I'll say Raiders 23-13. And these are just random scores, just so you guys know. There's no real thought put into them.
All right, let's bang out this next one. We've got Philly at New England, and I don't understand this point spread. I really don't. I thought this was way low because to me, this is easy money. Philly at New England. Philly by 4. Philly locked up Jalen Hurts. Big deal, big money. They got him. I mean, let's talk about the Philly defense. Last year, the Eagles became the first team to have 4 different players with double-digit sacks in a season since that stat became available in 1982.
Damn, that's good. That's key right there.
They had amazing defensive production from all aspects of the field. We all know what Jalen Hurts brings to the table. We all know what the Philly offense brings to the table. They did lose some defensive punch with Javon Hargrave leaving for San Francisco. They lost a few pieces, but they picked up a couple things. They got cornerback Grady Williams, safety Terrell Edmonds. They filled a couple of holes that they needed to. In the draft, defensive lineman Jalen Carter. You've just anchored your defensive line for the next decade and change. And you were in the NFC Championship, or you were in the Super Bowl. I mean, their draft and their offseason for a team that just made the Super Bowl was outrageous. Philly is not going anywhere, not by a long shot, not the way this team is constructed, the contracts they have in place, the players that they have in certain positions. It is absolutely outrageous. I mean,
I think they're the only equals to Kansas City. Like they could easily beat Kansas City. Like they're equals or maybe even better. I'll admit that right now. They're insane.
Well, the great thing is I feel like with the quarterback market, they got Jalen Hurts at a bargain. 5 years, $255 million. Like the QB market, as this game progresses and it becomes more of a pass-happy offense, the market for quarterbacks is only going to go up. Yeah. So now Philly has Jalen Hurts locked for 5 years. That's outstanding.
Yeah, that actually is. The not only is the market going to go up, the cap is going to go up.
Yes.
I think it's in a year or two, the cap is supposed to like just jump like not exponentially, but it's going to take like a 30% jump, which is going to be crazy when we see the new salaries after that.
But like quarterback comparison wise, though, I know everyone says you take everything to the Kansas City Chiefs, but like Mahomes is the best. But I think Jalen Hurts is right there with him. Like he's really close. You know, he's not doing all the fancy things, but take the fancy things away from Mahomes, and I think they're equals. He was amazing in the Super Bowl.
Well, I agree with Logan. This team is loaded. It's stocked. It can win. I mean, this is like this Eagles team. Yeah, they're kind of like, Alabama in college football. Like every position you look at is loaded with 5-star talent. They're going to win games, and they're going to win games they might otherwise have lost just because they're going to eke them out with talent.
And how often does a team make the Super Bowl and in the off season hit a home run in draft and free agents?
They really did.
But just think how the NFC is on that side, though. They're just going to dominate the NFC for years.
That is the other thing we haven't even talked about. The NFC is by far the weaker conference.
Yeah. Oh my God, like ridiculous.
Not even
Aaron
close.
Rodgers won with the Jets, so it's even crazier now. Yep.
It's not even close at this point. I don't even know. Like the Niners, they're the biggest threat. Brock Purdy and the Niners. Is it? It's not the Vikings. I mean,
the Lions, the Giants, the Niners, Philly, Dallas.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about that.
It's like the power is obviously in the AFC. We know this.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's go to who Philly is playing. We got New England. They signed Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't know how much of an improvement that is from Jacoby Myers.
Hey,
I really don't.
Real quick, are you guys seeing like things saying that his knee's about to explode? Like
who's that?
Smith?
Yeah, they're saying.
Yeah, I read something about that. I'm not buying that.
What does that mean? It's just like
I don't know.
Like they're saying it's barely. Are they pretty much saying he's done? Is that what they're trying to say? Like, there's no reason for him to keep going because it's about to go.
I mean, he's on his third team, right? He started with the Steelers, then the Chiefs, and now he's here. He's not going to be any better than he was at those last two stops.
He's not. I'm not buying it. I mean, is in terms of the New England Patriots, obviously the Matt Patricia experiment was a disaster as offensive coordinator. They did pick up Bill O'Brien. That'll help the offense. Again, I don't know what the signing of Juju Smith-Schuster and releasing Jacoby Myers, I don't know how that helped you. I mean, Mac Jones, I mean, he didn't do well. I mean, the Patriots scored 31 offensive touchdowns.
They're bringing up the rear in the AFC East.
Fewer than they did in the previous year. If anything, their offense has regressed.
Yeah. They're going to go 0-6 in the AFC East. I don't see them beating anybody.
Their defense ranked 8th overall last year. It was a solid unit. But I'm not, unless their offense takes a leap forward, I'm sorry. I'm looking at Philly 34-20. Philly not only wins.
20? You're giving them 20 points against that defense? You think they can put up 20?
Philly's defense, I mean, it's not elite. It's good enough. And but with Bill Belichick, new offensive coordinator, new game plan for this year, Bill Belichick at this point is coaching for his legacy. Because I'm sorry, Tom Brady won that divorce.
Which ended a long time ago. The legacy's been gone.
I think Bill Belichick is taking this seriously. So I'm saying 34-20.
You know what? For someone who I despised for years, I'm actually rooting for the guy. I don't know why, because I never liked that Patriots team.
I'm not. Fuck them.
I know. I agree. But for some reason, I feel bad for him. I don't know why, but I just do. Still, I'm not picking him.
Philly all fucking day. I picked them to finish flat. No, I've got New England picked last in this division.
Oh yeah, I
I
just said
agree
they're
with
finishing
you.
last.
Yeah.
They're going 0-6 in the division. There's no question about that. They're going to lose this game, and I think they're going to lose pretty big. I'm going to say 31-10 Eagles.
Oh, damn. Hot take.
Yeah, I don't. I 100% agree. This was a Tom Brady team. Bill Belichick was along for the ride. Bill Belichick pre-Brady was a middling coach. Post-Brady, he's a middling coach. He's a great defensive coordinator, and he can coach the shit out of the defense when Bill Parcells is his head coach. And he can coach the greatest player of all time to a bunch of Super Bowls. I give him that. But otherwise, he's just an average head coach.
So, Bob, you got Philly?
Yeah, 38-21.
All right. Miami at Chargers. Chargers by 3.
This is a juicy one.
Real quick for Miami, key additions. Cornerback Jalen Ramsey was outstanding. Wide receiver, Chosen Anderson, good pickup. In the draft, they picked up cornerback Cam Smith. That's going to help shore up and help their backfield with Jalen Ramsey. Again, my biggest issue is Tua health. They did address their secondary. They can stretch any defense in the league. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, they will stretch any fucking defense. In fact, with I think it was with Hill and Waddle downfield, Tua was first in completion percentage and yards per attempt on throws of over 15 yards downfield last year.
Tyreek Hill jumps like he's 6'8".
He converted first downs on 57 passes of at least 15 yards, which was tied for second in the NFL. So the motherfucker is going to throw the ball down the field and complete it because he has fucking track stars for wide receivers. So he moves the ball downfield. He makes it happen.
This reminds me of the old Dan Marino days with Mark Clayton and Mark Duper. He just used to fling the ball all over the field.
Now, I will say, Miami did hire Kellen Moore as their new offensive coordinator, which I think is going to open up the offensive playbook even more. That was for LA. Excuse me.
Yeah, Chargers got him, I think.
That was for LA.
Getting ahead of us, man.
That was
but the Dolphins head coach is kind of an offensive minded genius. That guy is really good coach.
No, he is. He studies numbers. No, he looks at numbers.
Yeah, the Dolphins all rise and fall on Tua. Can Tua stay healthy, that team is going to be in the mix all year long, at least for the AFC East, if not for the whole Super Bowl. If Tua gets hurt, and Tua has not had a track record of staying healthy, and it's sad because he gets hit hard. And he was all clenched up. Remember last season when he was on the ground? It was an ugly scene. But
yeah, I wouldn't have came back after that. As a human being,
yeah,
I'm like, fuck that. I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
He came back.
So,
but
but the guy can play.
Go ahead, sorry, buddy.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, yeah, the guy can play. It really all comes down to whether he can stay healthy. They're gonna be a really good team if he can stay healthy. If not, they're gonna be middle of the road.
They will be elite. They will fight for a playoff position. They will be there. But the problem is they really didn't address the offensive line as much as I thought that they should, considering his issue with concussions. But now we've got the Chargers. Now I feel like the Chargers are kind of following a model a lot like the Chiefs. One or two elite players on defense, but devoting on offense. And this past offseason, I feel like they did that. Which is sad because their run defense ranked dead last in yards per carry at 5.2 last season. But I will say, In 3 seasons, Justin Herbert has thrown for over 14,000 yards. That's most through a player's first 3 seasons in NFL history.
I like him. I don't like the Chargers, but I
But
like him. He's good.
he needs his wide receivers to stay healthy. If you remember last year, Keenan Allen missed 6 games and Mike Williams missed 4.
Yeah.
So the wideouts need to stay healthy. If his offensive weapons stay healthy, Justin Herbert has the tools to score big points in that division.
Yeah, he's scary. He's similar to Burrow, or he can kind of just thread the needle, man, and get some crazy throws on people. And he's got an arm.
I actually like the Chargers in this game, and that's saying a lot. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm saying Chargers 31-27.
I think this
was LA by 3.
This could definitely be the biggest shootout of the first season,
of week 1.
First week.
Yep.
That Jets-Bills game could be another shootout, but this one has the hallmark of a wild kind of affair. Chargers' problem is one thing and one thing only, really, and it's the head coach. That guy makes some terrible coaching decisions. And you may recall 2 years ago, the last game of the year between the Raiders and the Chargers, where the winner goes to the playoffs, the loser goes home. And if they tied, they both go to the playoffs, and the Steelers would have gone home.
That's right.
And they were literally like saying, "Here, let's."
The Raiders were ready to run out the clock and go home with the tie and late in OT. And I don't remember what he did. Was he calling timeouts or something? And
he fucked it up somehow on purpose.
He fucked it up.
Yeah.
And then last year they got destroyed in the wild card round by the Jaguars at that big, massive comeback. I was like, oh my God, it was like the second biggest comeback in, I think, league playoff history. It was great. Yep. Like, so Brandon Staley is not a man to be trusted as a head coach. And we'll see. We'll see. Maybe this will be their year. I don't know. This game, though, this is a tough one. So what's the spread and who's the favorite? This is a hard one to pick.
It was the Chargers, I believe.
By 3.
Chargers by 3.
Home game, the Chargers. Oh God, I want to pick the Dolphins, but I'll go with the Chargers. I'll say Chargers 34, Dolphins 31. I'll go with the Chargers.
What do you
got? Chargers 24-28.
Wait, Chargers 28?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, next game, Seahawks at Rams. Seattle favored by 5.5. Let's just talk about Seattle. They put some money in Geno Smith. I thought that was a bargain. 3 years, $75 million compared to what the quarterback market is and what he did last year. I thought that was outstanding. They had a really good offseason. They really did. In the draft, they picked up cornerback Devon Witherspoon, a good wideout, a good edge player. They picked up linebacker Bobby Wagner, Devin Bush from the Steelers. They made some moves. I will say for Seattle fans that may be, and this is a stat that I picked up, for Seattle players that are worried about Geno Smith,
I'd be worried. I'd be worried if I were a Seahawks fan.
No.
Tell us why we're wrong. Tell us why we're wrong.
I think Pete Carroll knows what he's doing. I think Pete Carroll loves what he does. I think he's an outstanding coach. I think he saw the limitations of Russell Wilson and departed and did what he had to do. If you look at Geno Smith last year, he threw 11 picks on the year. 9 of those picks were on first and second down. That's schematic. Run the ball, try a different scheme, make some adjustments, work it from there. Out of 11 picks, 9 of them were on first and second down. That's so fixable. Now, the only real weakness that I see with Seattle is it was the defense against the run. I mean, they did finish third in lowest opponent total QBR at 49, but they did allow a total of 53 pass plays of at least 20 yards or more, tied for eighth. Now, some pickups may help alleviate that. Rick Woolen, who was a rookie last year, made the Pro Bowl, and they picked up Witherspoon, another tremendous rookie cornerback. So their backfield should be improved. I think Seattle is headed in an amazing direction right now under Pete Carroll. I think they are the team to look out for, and they very possibly could win that division.
Well, it's not going to be the Cardinals, and it's not going to be the Rams, so it's between them and the Niners. And I looked at, as you were talking about Geno's stats, he really had statistically a great season last year. Almost 70%.
That man was reinvented under Pete Carroll.
He was.
He's better than Tannehill.
Almost 70% completions, over 4,200 yards,
yep.
30 touchdowns, which you didn't even mention that, 11 picks, most touchdowns in his career. In fact, almost, if you add up, just almost more than the rest of his season, his career combined in terms of touchdowns. So he had a great year. Is he the answer? I don't know. They gave him some money. They like him. I do agree with you that Pete Carroll is a great coach. And I think you're right. They definitely they rooked the Broncos on that Russell Wilson trade. There's no doubt about that.
Oh yeah.
They got a lot for not much back. So the Broncos are going to be
like, what's wrong
Russell?
With him? He used to be good, right? Like he used to make some.
He did.
I think Pete Carroll saw what was going on.
Yeah. I think that if there's anybody, we talked about how, some quarterbacks, they get propped up like Tannehill. I mean, if there was a quarterback who got propped up, you could definitely make the case that maybe Russell Wilson got propped up. That defense was lights out for so many years. And then, you have beast mode running the ball, and they had some pretty good receivers there. Good scheme. I mean, maybe he was. Maybe Russell, or maybe it's the system. Maybe he's a good
system. I was about to say that.
Yeah, we plug in Geno Smith, plug in Russell Wilson, plug in Carson Palmer, plug in Matt Leinart. Back to USC days, and maybe that's just Pete. That's just Pete Carroll's system. It doesn't matter who you plug in; he's going to have a good year. So I don't know, but either way, he's making it work, and they're definitely in the mix for that NFC West. They just got to beat the Niners.
Now, as for the Rams,
dumpster fire again.
They bet everything on that Super Bowl run,
and
they're now paying for it, and they're paying for it in spades. They are hurting. They are a hurting organization. Last I heard, this past week, Cooper Kupp went to go see a hamstring specialist and is in doubt for Week 1.
I think he's done, man.
If we think about last year, Cooper Kupp in 2 games against Seattle accounted for 23 receptions between 2 games. So how do you replace that kind of offensive production with LA? You don't. You just don't. Now, I would say for the Rams, other than offensive ineptitude without Cooper Kupp, their biggest weakness is actually their pass rush, which is amazing considering that they have Aaron Donald.
Yep.
But who do they have besides Aaron Donald? Nobody.
Yeah, not much.
Cam Akers may be looking to make a big leap for the season. I mean, he did have, at the end of last year, had over 3 straight 100-yard rushing games. But, I mean, who are they playing? And is that going to be enough? I think the Rams are a dumpster fire. I think they got their Super Bowl ring, and now they have to rebuild. And I don't think Matthew Stafford is part of that plan.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're total rebuild. They've got a great coach. Yep. They have some good players. Like Stafford's still good. Obviously, Aaron Donald's a Hall of Famer. Cooper Kupp, if he's healthy, probably a future Hall of Famer one day.
If he's healthy.
If he's healthy, but the rest of the supporting staff is just, they had to get rid of Jalen Ramsey. He was a salary cap casualty. They got rid of a lot of other players too. It's just they're going to have a rough season. This is a team that's going to win probably 6 games, 5 games, because they've got enough talent there. But overall, it's going to be a long year for them. Seahawks have this one probably like 21-10 kind of thing.
All right, Bob, what do you got on this game?
Seahawks 10-28. But yeah, everything you said about
that is a unanimous vote. Now, this is a big game, and I am going to be referencing my fiance's team because she is a Giants fan. We've got Cowboys at Giants. And man, fuck it.
Upset alert. Oh, here we go. That star's on fire, folks.
I got upset alert. But let's talk about Dallas. All right, so I think some of the biggest additions they had was Brandon Cooks, wide receiver. That is going to help stretch the field. Absolutely. That is going to stretch the field for Dak Prescott, without a doubt. They did lose Ezekiel Elliott. I don't know how big of a deal that is. They did lose Connor McGovern, a guard, wide receiver Noah Brown, cornerback. They lost some players. They did lose their offensive coordinator to the Chargers. Could be a big deal. We'll see. Last year, their defense finished tied for third, sacks with 54, and they did lead the league in takeaways at 33. So their defense is incredibly opportunistic behind Micah Parsons. Absolutely. I will say I think the biggest weakness Dallas has is O-line depth. Dak Prescott is not the quarterback he was several years ago in terms of rushing and improvisation. He's more of a pocket quarterback. And now, to be 100% honest, I think he's worse. I mean, last season, the Cowboys had 4 receptions on passes thrown for 30 yards plus. They did pick up Cooks, which is great. And he had that many on his own in 13 games. So that's going to add to the long field game. But again, I don't buy Dak Prescott. I've never bought Dak Prescott. Their defense is elite. That can't be understated. That crew will do some damage. They pressure the quarterback better than anybody in the league. They are opportunistic. They create turnovers. They sack. But it's the offense. I don't buy it. What are your guys' thoughts on Dallas?
I agree with what you say, though, man.
I fucking hate Dallas.
But they have a lot of, they're really flashy, but there's not a lot of substance to them, right? There's a lot of talk about them. Everyone's saying how good they are, how great they're going to be, but they might have 10 wins at the most. That's being nice, I really like the running back though. What's his name? Tony Pollard, I think.
Yep.
He's a fantasy stud. So whoever has him, you're going to put up a lot of good numbers. But it seems like it's the same show every year with the Dallas Cowboys. It's their year. I don't even have that much hate for them because I'm not that old. If I was older, they were like the Patriots of the generation before. But it's just, I hear it from every time. It's their year and it never is. They always just kind of fizzle out. They do good in the beginning of the year and fizzle out the end. So I would expect them to kind of put up some good numbers towards the beginning of the season, though.
Yeah, they're the reason why we play the games on the field and we don't do it, settle these things on paper, because they always on paper should be the Super Bowl champs every year. They've got all the talent in the world. and they always perennially they underachieve, and always something happens, this, that, or the other thing, and there they are, out of the playoffs or one and done, and that's it for the Cowboys. It doesn't help when you've got an owner like Jerry Jones who has to meddle in everything, and there's this report that they traded for Trey Lance.
Oh my God! By the way,
Prescott.
I wanted to bring that up real quick. I know there's been a lot of media coverage on is Dak Prescott's game or his position in danger. They brought in Trey Lance. Oh my God! First of all, I want to stomp that shit into the ground right now. Trey Lance, I mean, you just had the 49ers GM admit in an interview they made a mistake. And they had issues with his passing. If anything, this was a Jerry Jones constructed idea to motivate Dak Prescott. If you think at some point Trey Lance is going to take the reins of the Dallas Cowboy offense, you are out of your mind. That is never going to fucking happen.
It's still funny that this big deal is being made because they didn't tell him before, and apparently he was bent out of shape, and it's just dysfunction. And my favorite is when his son was like wiping his glasses for him on national TV in the press box. That's the best one ever. Like, what a dysfunctional family, and a whole night. It's just whatever. Yeah. So Cowboys, they win the Super Bowl on paper every year, but they don't actually win the Super Bowl. So I don't see anything different with them this year.
Now, when we go into the Giants, I'm not gonna lie. I told my fiance this, and she actually agreed. They overpaid for Daniel Jones. Absolutely. And I feel like they could have gotten away with paying Daniel Jones a little bit less and making an actual deal for Saquon Barkley and not had this issue.
Well, what'd they pay him? How much does he get?
Daniel Jones? Jesus Christ. It was like $140 million for 4 years.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah. Now, they did secure wide receiver Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, picked up tight end Darren Waller, amazing pickup. They had a decent draft. I will say no. It was Daniel Jones, 4 years, $160 million. So they did pick up a rookie running back, 40. Add some depth behind Saquon Barkley. Their biggest weakness, I still think, is pass blocking. They have a rookie center. Daniel Jones may have to improvise and scramble a little more than I would like. But if we do remember the kind of coach Brian Daboll is, he's not shy of making his quarterback scramble. This is now his second year as the Giants head coach. Before that, he was with Buffalo, helping out Allen. So he's not shy of the quarterback running.
No.
Now, the biggest stat is that, and I think Brian Daboll knows this, the Giants traded for tight end Darren Waller. Daniel Jones, in terms of numbers, throwing to tight ends, last season he was ranked 5th in the NFL with a QBR of 89.2, and his completion percentage was 77.9 when targeting tight ends. And now you've given him Darren Waller in third and possible medium to long situations where he may not have to scramble, and he has a very large tight end to make up that end. Again, I think Brian Daboll is an amazing coach. I smell upset. I did watch some of the Giants preseason. Daniel Jones, when he played, looked in command of the offense. And I believe in Brian Daboll. I think he's a really good offensive-minded coach.
Well,
I think he's got the Giants headed in the right direction. And I've got a Giants upset 27-21.
It's in New York, so that's definitely to the
oh, and by the way,
Giants prime time too.
I'll throw this out there right now. My fiance is a diehard Giant fan, and she picked Dallas. And I picked the Giants.
Oh, what?
Yep.
That's crazy.
I know.
Yeah, Daniel Jones has not yet blown me away. I don't know if he's the answer. If he is the answer, I want to know what the question is.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Absolutely.
The team is well coached. They play hard. They made the playoffs. They knocked off the Vikings last year in the playoffs. So they're building on something, and it's going to be a good game between them and the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys. I'm picking the Cowboys. I think it'll be a good game. I'm going to say Cowboys 28, Giants 24.
All right, Bob, what do you got?
2017 Giants. Sorry. I don't have anything insightful to say about it. It'll be a good game, though.
All right. Here we go, folks. The last game, and then we're going to call it a night. And this game, there has not been a team that has gotten more media coverage or scrutiny or talk over all the major networks on TV than the fucking New York Jets. And here we are.
This is true.
Bills Jets, Buffalo favored by 2.5.
Ooh.
So before we go,
did the Jets make any moves this offseason? I don't remember.
No, I don't either. No. So before we get to the Jets' boring offseason, let's talk about the Bills. They do have running back Damian Harris. They did pick up a good guard, Connor McGovern. Wide receiver Deontay Hardy, which is going to do really well next to Diggs because they need that. And Deontay Hardy needs to step up. Diggs can't do it on his own. They did take some losses. Linebacker Tremaine Edmonds, guard Roger Solfold. They did have some losses. I mean, the Bills, they still don't have a high-end number 3 receiver behind Stephon Diggs or Gabe Davis. I mean, we're waiting. I mean, Stephon Diggs can't be the only offensive weapon Josh Allen has, especially in that division with the defenses that are there. I mean, Diggs is going to get double teamed, and it's going to come to either Josh Allen making the quick read or he scrambles. Buffalo had 40 sacks last season. I mean, Miller was responsible for quite a bit of them. But again, last year against Cincinnati, the Bills had 1 sack against Joe Burrow. That needs to improve. Their defense needs to get to the quarterback. If they want Josh Allen to score points, they've got to have a defense that backs them up. I mean, the depth of their line has taken multiple hits with tackle Brendan Shell. He decided to retire. Tommy Doyle suffered a season-ending injury. So there's questions on their offensive line. But on a positive note, I will say, since Stephon Diggs has been with Josh Allen, his QBR and percentages improved. But again, it can't be just on him. So I feel like if Buffalo doesn't get it done this year, their window has closed.
Which contract is Josh Allen on? Did he get extended, or he's not still on his rookie contract, is he?
No. I think he's signed at this point, but it's a question of they paid for Miller. Yeah. They made some contracts, but this is it.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think Allen is obviously a very talented quarterback, but he's only got really Stephon Diggs to throw to. Gabe Davis is decent, but there is no other really good receiver on that roster. And Diggs is a prima donna.
He is.
I mean,
he's a diva. He's a diva.
He could be to the point where he becomes locker room cancer, and that's never good. I mean, that's never good. But who knows? Maybe he's not that bad. But he was in Minnesota, and him and Kirk Cousins didn't get along, and I don't think him and Adam Thielen didn't get along, and that's kind of why they shipped him out to Buffalo. And didn't he storm off the sideline during the Bengals?
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know. The running back, James Cook, I mean, this is his second year. Is he gonna carry the rock for that team? Is he gonna be good enough? We'll find out. And,
we're gonna get to the Jets. Hold on.
Then they're in a division with the Dolphins and the Jets. So, like you said, this is the year they better start winning some games and get to the Super Bowl, because if they don't this year, it might be you're right. The window might be closed. This might be their best shot for a long time.
I think this is it. I think if Buffalo doesn't make a move now, and maybe towards the trade deadline, and depending on how the market looks, they may make some moves to improve the team to do it now. They may. That may be a gamble they want to make. But let's look at the fucking Jets. So, all right.
Packers East is what they've become.
Jesus Christ. Fucking Jets. So, obviously, the biggest news was Hard Knocks, and they got Aaron Rodgers. So, let's just say a few things out of the gate right now. The Jets defense is elite. We know they're good. We know that. And we will get into some comments a Jet teammate made about their defense here in a minute, because I thought you've got some fucking stones making that comment, but we'll get to that. They did pick up Randall Cobb, which I thought was outstanding. That gives Aaron Rodgers the familiarity, the security blanket that he may need. I mean,
Alan Lazard, they got him too.
Lazard's a beast. I like him.
He is. While the Jets defense is elite, I have one issue, and I think at some point this may come back to haunt them. Last year, they had 16 takeaways. That's it. That's concerning for a defense that is considered elite. Now, while you may hold teams to certain yardage and or points, takeaways are incredibly important. And for you to only have 16, that's an issue. My other issue with them is no, go ahead, Sturm.
I was just going to say that's more than the Raiders had. I'll take 16.
Yeah, but again, not trying to rub salt in the wound, but you and the Jets finished almost basement in terms of takeaways.
Are you saying we're not an elite defense in Vegas? Come on, man. What the fuck?
Well, walks like a duck, whacks like a duck.
But they also
all I know is we're 0-0 just like everybody else.
I will say the other weakness that the Jets that concerns me, and it's God. I know Aaron Rodgers didn't want to stay in Green Bay, and I feel like in Green Bay he had a better offensive line. The Jets have durability concerns at both tackle spots. Left tackle Dwayne Brown had no training camp. I mean, he just recovered from rotary cuff surgery, and he's 38.
Oof.
Jesus, he's 38 years old.
Played on a twice repaired right knee. He hasn't played a complete game since 2020. We're talking about issues in the guard position for an offensive line for a quarterback that is older. I'm sorry. Those are legitimate concerns. Now, go ahead.
One thing you said about the Packers, and you mentioned that they had the lowest sack rate in the league last year. and I was going to say this, but I'm going to say it now because you said there's concerns about their line on the Jets. Was the Packers' low sack rate a product of the O-line or a savvy veteran like Aaron Rodgers knowing how to get rid of the ball?
I think that was O-line.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, Aaron Rodgers isn't taking unnecessary hits. The guy has been around long enough to not to do that.
Now, I will say an interesting stat, which I actually found. I found this and I thought it was interesting. Rodgers has thrown for 4,000 yards in 10 seasons of his career. That's tied with Matt Ryan for the 5th most all time. The Jets have had one season 4,000-yard passer in their history.
Who was it? Wait. It had to be Namath, right?
Yep, by Joe Namath.
Yeah.
Now,
gosh, that's crazy.
the last thing I want to bring up, because this is the last game we're covering, and then we're going to call it a night. The Jets. A lot of press. Aaron fucking Rodgers. He's a bad man. Aaron fucking Rodgers. Now they're on Hard Knocks. A lot of press. Everybody's watching, seeing what's going on. Aaron Rodgers has had his moments, fucking that, fucking this, and fucking that. But then, starting quarterback DJ Reed has an interview and says that he feels his defense could be as good as the 85 Bears. A team that had 2 shutouts in the playoffs. Let me go on a hot take here and a rant for a quick second, Mr. DJ Reed. You have a better chance of punching out God. The NFL is different than what it was in those days.
That is true.
Those players got away with a lot more than what you can get away with right now. The game has changed. The game is different. There is no way, and I mean this in all sincerity, there is no team in the modern era right now that will get 2 shutouts in the playoffs ever. It won't happen ever. So DJ Reed for the Jets with Aaron Rodgers and Hard Knocks and the target you put on your team, good luck, motherfucker. Good luck. Because the Jets, other than the Chiefs, are now going to be the most sought after to beat in the NFL this season. And that's why I am picking the Bills to win a nail biter 24-20 in New York.
Wow. Oof. That's some analysis. And I agree with you. When you start comparing yourself to historical teams, that's usually a bad sign. I remember when the Eagles, was it Vince Young who said, we have a dream team here in the comparing themselves to like the Olympic basketball team, and they went like 8-8 that year or whatever it was.
Yep.
It's usually a bad omen when you start comparing yourself to a historical team.
And I watched that interview, and I'm looking at him like, you arrogant, like, I feel like they bought into, and this is the other thing, managing expectations. Do I think the Jets are going to compete? Yes. But I think with the media of Aaron Rodgers, HBO Hard Knocks, they have now fallen in love with their own aura of, we are just going to dominate. Like, I'm in that division, I'm not buying it.
You're convincing me here that you might be right about this. Go ahead.
I still think it's Buffalo's division to lose. Like, I'm looking at it as Buffalo, New York, Miami, New England. I think New England finishes last.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about that for sure. But no, you're convincing me with that analysis because they seem to have bought in and anointed themselves, like you said, the 85 Bears without even playing a single down yet.
And here's
That's
the other
not a
thing,
good sign.
Have they put the pressure on themselves?
Yeah.
Or is the pressure on the rest of the league? I think the pressure is now on them. They've anointed themselves and their coach said it. Well, other teams have to deal with us. Dude,
One of the geniuses. I talked down about Bill Belichick earlier, but I will say this about the genius of Bill Belichick. There's one thing this man was a genius about. It was playing down your team and playing up the other team. And when you're 12-0 New England Patriots going against the 0-12 Cincinnati Bengals, you watch a Bill Belichick press conference and you think they're playing the 85 Bears based on how good he's talking them up.
And here's my issue, and here's my other issue with the Jets. Let's say, hypothetically, they lose the Bills. Then they struggle in the next game. They may get a win, they may not, but they struggle. They struggle the third game.
Yep.
When does Aaron Rodgers lose interest?
That's a great question.
When does that offensive line, who is not as good as it was in Green Bay, do better? When does that defense, when okay, we can stop yardage, but we get no turnovers? When does the honeymoon in New York end?
Fast. Real fast.
When things get rough, is Aaron Rodgers going to be there to see it through? So
he'll be there, but he's not going to be there, if you know what I mean. He's going to be checked out thinking about his 4-day sweat lodge in the off season to clear his head kind of thing. Yeah, I would have. I'm glad the Raiders didn't pick him up because they were part of the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. And this guy hasn't been committed to football for the last 2 or 3 seasons, frankly. He played with the Packers in a division where it didn't take much to get yourself to 12, 13 wins. And he got smacked in the playoffs every single year. Except for that one run, magical run. They beat your Steelers. Other than that, they've been choke city with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. So we'll see. I mean, you've actually convinced. I was much higher on the Jets until 5 minutes ago when you started talking them down. I'm like, you know what? All this makes a lot of sense.
I'm not buying it yet. I'm not.
They gotta prove it.
I'm not buying the Hard Knocks hype. I'm not buying it. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid.
And if shit gets real fast, if they start to struggle, lose a game, drop a game, barely eke out a win, you get a little bit of dissent in the locker room, and all of a sudden the wheels come off. That can happen.
There was a clip in Hard Knocks of Randall Cobb talking to the wide receivers. Aaron don't like throwing interceptions. He don't trust you. He ain't going to throw to you. And here's the thing about Aaron Rodgers, and I'm sorry. I have followed his career. Aaron Rodgers has 1 Super Bowl.
Yep.
He's a bad man. Okay, he can play. But Aaron Rodgers cares about his stats.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And when a quarterback cares that much about his stats, he's not willing to take those chances to chuck the ball downfield for the big play because he's worried about the pick. And Randall Cobb confirmed my suspicion.
But why does he care about his stats? Why would you?
Because Aaron Rodgers wants to go down in history as, okay, I only won 1 Super Bowl, but I beat everybody else in stats.
How far is he from Brady, though? Isn't he quite a ways, or is he not?
No, not really. In terms of numbers, he's in good shape. But Aaron Rodgers cares about his numbers.
You're 100% right. he cares, and it's more than just his number. He does care about how everybody perceives him. He gets super sensitive. And there was that whole thing about the COVID. Remember, he like faked his COVID test or some bullshit, and he got all like accusing people of conspiracy theories. There was some weird tangent press conference he had about all that bullshit. And everyone was like, what is he talking about? Like, dude, like, what the fuck? It was like he wouldn't come out and say whether or not he was like vaccinated. It was like, don't worry about it. I've got immunity. And they're like, does that mean you're vaccinated, dude? He's like, I've got immunity. Don't worry about it. And it was just all this weird. He's 100% a quarterback diva, and that's why he has one Super Bowl.
Fucking diva, and that's why everyone's been drinking and buying the Jets Kool-Aid, and I'm going, you know what? You wait till Aaron Rodgers hits a wall where he starts to struggle. We will see how committed Aaron Rodgers is. So I'm sorry. The Bills win this game 24-20 in New York.
Gosh. Well, I was going to pick the Jets, and now I'm on the fence. I'm still going to go with the Jets. That's what my gut tells me.
All right, Sturm. I like it. I'm
going to go Jets 27-20.
All right, Bob. What do you got?
Jets 31-24.
Oh, God. I love it.
I'm almost looking more forward to this than the actual Chiefs Lions, because it's just the Lions.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how we do next week.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun game.
No, me too. And I wrote everything down. I've got everybody's matchups. To everybody that watched us, that's gonna wrap it up for this week of Scoundrels talking about the NFL. We've gone through every game. Next week will be shorter. We will go through real quick in the beginning any big news, injuries, things that happen. Then we will go game for game. No additions, just how teams did. Should be a lot quicker. So stay patient with us. But
yeah, this was just our intro episode. This is our number one, so we have to
lay in the groundwork.
Yep. Let you guys know how we feel.
That's all I got, gents. Thank you, Sturm. Thank you, Bob.
Of course.
I love this, man. I fucking love talking football,
glad
dude.
To make you happy, man.
Yeah, I love talking football too.
I love talking football. All right.
Till next week, guys.
Yep. So from Sturm, Bob, myself, OldManLogan 76. Thank you very much. Stay tuned next Tuesday. More NFL action and the reaction to our picks, how we did, and who was right and who was wrong. So check us out next week. Peace.
There you go.